Hey, buddies. We all just got here this second. Terrible elevator situation.
That was the worst.
It's the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I am Ron Bennington. For some reason, the streets of New York City have been unpassable for the last couple of days.
It's been really packed out there. Like, it's just like crawling with people, fucking gridlocked. The elevators are backed up.
What's the whole deal with everybody wanting to come to New York? Let's just slow it down for a while.
This is just a place where people live, guys.
Yeah, it's just a place. That's all. Like any other place. You're from a place. All right. So it is, I'm going to guess a Wednesday.
You're correct.
Which means tonight, Fargo.
Oh, Fargo.
That's how I manage my life about what television we have on it. You know?
I know. That's what makes, like, when you have a good show and then the season ends, you're just like, now what? How do I mark my Sunday?
Yeah, the only reason why any of these shows were good is that they stopped making 28 episodes a year. But now you're like, oh, that's it? It's over? You suck. So what I'm trying to say is Americans cannot be satisfied. By the way, that's what the writers are striking about, too, is that if you're writing for a show now, you're not hired for 28 weeks. Right. You're hired for 9 or 11.
Yeah. We want like 8 episodes. Make them really great.
Mm-hmm.
And then get out of here.
Yes. But, you know, those writers who are doing all this work that we love, they're getting paid a lot less money.
It's true.
Yeah. I think they were making $40 before. Now they're making $23.
Oh, no.
So
that's not good.
Yeah. Let me explain it for you. Like, imagine if you're Dolly, right?
Okay.
Had 40 babas.
Okay.
And now she only has 23 babas.
Oh, I get it. So less good.
Yes. That's it.
Because a baby needs a baba, right?
Yes.
It's bad when they don't have the baba?
Yeah. Now let Daddy watch his sports show. What is that weird thing sitting in front of us? Is that a drone?
I think that is a drone.
Yeah.
It's a tripod drone.
Is that going to sit there for now on, this weird camera?
So just when we have some guests in and stuff.
Oh, so this is yours?
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay, well, make the announcement to me. So I don't come in here and see something weird sitting in front of me, Vito.
That is our camera.
Oh, that's so great.
And I control it from here.
Oh, God. Things are finally going our way. Thank you, Vito.
Back in my day, a camera had a lens, and you held it.
And a cameraman. And it had a big NBC on the side of it, and somebody had to push him. You ever see, like, if you watch those things, just how big cameras were?
Gigantic.
Yeah. Like, you had to be a large man to be a camera person.
Yes. Yes. If you didn't play defensive tackle in high school, the chances of you being a cameraman were slight. Okay, so some really sad news, and everybody saw this coming for a while, and I got some emails about it. But our friend, our old buddy Rorschach, did pass away last night, and to all his friends online, because I've heard from a bunch of them, and particularly Holly in Seattle, because those guys did a show together, and we're just very good buddies. We're thinking about everybody today. A very, very funny guy. And as I brought it up the other day, the first time that we saw one of his YouTube videos, he was just going on and on about how Eastside Dave was going to be the next big thing, and then we just fell out. We just thought it was the funniest. So we did stuff called Rorschach Rants for a while with him. But he always kept, I think he was from Alabama or someplace like that. And I remember because one time when those tornadoes were whipping around, it was like it hit his town. One of those ones that it gets famous all over the country. So, thinking about his family and his friends, particularly those online friends that all stayed in touch with him.
Yeah, he had so many close buddies, and it's really sweet to see everybody tweeting their messages, and it's really a heartbreaking thing. He had a lot of great friends.
All right. So, so you're running that camera out of there with your laptop?
Yeah, with the iPad. It hooks up to it.
And this is what your whole stupid schooling is about.
Yes.
Okay. That's good for you then, I guess. I don't know.
I guess he went to school to operate the War of the World alien.
This Saturday. Is it this Saturday?
This Saturday.
Is the next GPS Ireland will be airing Saturday, 3 p.m. Do we know if we got any kind of giveaway on that?
As of right now, no.
Okay. No giveaway. So that's something I probably should have asked off air so I wouldn't have been embarrassed on air. A lot of people were... I can't believe that the Bennington barometer gets so many people fired up one direction or another.
Yes, it's like a heated debate. Everybody's looking, to get that Bennington barometer approval.
Oh no, the stuff that I get is like, dude, you picked the wrong one. I go, it can't be wrong. It's the Bennington barometer. It's not the United States barometer. If it was the Earth's barometer, yes, I could pick on the wrong side, but I can't pick on the wrong side in my opinion. Then they'll just write your opinion is shit. I go, that may be, but that's also part of the Bennington barometer.
It's your God-given right.
Well, it's, it is Bennington. And again, this started from just a nightmarish place. How are you ever supposed to pick between Bowie and Lou Reed?
Yeah.
Bowie. But doesn't mean that I don't love Lou Reed.
Yeah, I mean, he came out of the gate strong. That was the first one that Bob asked you.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a harsh one to start with.
And then even, Kinnis and Hicks I felt a little bad about. But I was thinking, you're a Bennington. You could play the Bennington barometer.
Yes.
Vito can't play. Chris can't play. But you can play Bennington barometer.
I could. I absolutely could.
I don't know, because he didn't write it for you. I always felt like it was a male-based
Yeah.
show.
I mean, Bennington has a lot of meanings.
Yeah.
It's a man. It's a family. It's a state of mind. It's a show.
It's pottery.
It is. It's pottery.
It's pontoon boats.
It's a lovely college and town in Vermont.
Yeah. Have you ever been there?
I have, yeah.
I used to see your name everywhere. It's really great. It's really great if you like saying your name places.
My brother once said that he wanted to try to go there and see if he could run for mayor, just based on name alone.
I think people
I've returned to the homeland.
It's funny. I have been there, and like if I use my credit card, people are like, "What the? How the?
How?
How could this be?" We had a family dinner last night and went out for tapas, and I spent last night and this morning thinking, why do I eat anything but tapas?
I know, because just a couple days ago we were having a conversation, isn't eating small plates the best? And that's the whole idea of tapas.
And there's something great about Spanish food. It's not like Mexican food or any kind of South American food.
Yeah.
It's on its own, and it's great. Send Connor in. Connor is, he helps produce the GPSs. And I believe Ireland may have been his idea. Or else it's my idea, and he yelled, yeah, right after it. And then,
Yeah, it was yours.
But then you came up with a lot of great ones. But we're going to do that on Saturday. But here's what I was wondering about Irish people. Why do they have soul? When you really look at English people,
Yeah.
Welsh people, Scottish people, you don't feel that soul. You know what I mean? So even though some of them do straight soul music, but even their rock and roll has a tremendous amount of soul.
Yeah. It's like, you ever see the movie Commitments?
I love that movie.
Where he talks about how Ireland is the blacks of the UK kind of area.
I don't know if he says blacks, but I
But
do.
he does like the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's, like it's not my words.
Yeah.
It's not from my mind.
You know, that movie did so well that they went out and toured as a band.
Yeah.
And I think they still go out every once in a while. Just think you could go see the Commitments.
I think it has something to do with the Irish people have a bit more fire to them, to their personalities. So I think that you could tie that
Where
to
the English are reserved.
Right. They're reserved, and they have like the whole stiff upper lip thing and like the whole carry on business.
Yeah.
I like the Irish tend to be like 0 to 60 anger, a little bit more passion about them.
And they also have a social thing, like social injustice fucking pisses them off.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because they really don't like the idea of kings and queens from Jump Street.
Yeah. They're not so crumpety.
There's something weird about people that still like kings and queens. It's like saying who's going to be the wizard of our town. It's a fucking dumb thing to get into. But if you would think that the English could even get rid of the royal family, you're wrong. That place would riot.
I know, because they have the royal family as like celebrity status. So it's just weird. Because, like, obviously we have that with celebrities, right? Like, it's just like Beyonce, and everyone's like obsessed with Beyonce, and they want to know who's follow all this.
But we don't have our government pay for Beyonce.
Exactly. That's what's so peculiar.
And Beyonce doesn't stay Beyonce at the same level of heat.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that she's going to hand her celebrity to her daughter. I think the name is Baby Blue. Is that it?
Blue Ivy.
Okay. That sounds more like somebody that should be going up against Batman than a person. There's something about your generation. You tat up, you just tat.
Yeah.
And then you give your children ridiculous names.
Oh, God, it's really bad. There's two things, ridiculous names and then the resurgence of like the old lady name or the old man name. So those two things come together. There's going to be a very obnoxiously named generation coming up.
I just think that we should, like, just whatever your chat room name would have been back on the old L. You know what I mean? Like, I do think you should be Punchy 367. It's that stupid now with names. Here's the new tat that annoys me. And there was a girl eating next to us last night. And she had a sentence right here on her arm, and you'll see this a lot. And it's written so small that I fucking, excuse me, I'm just curious. What did you write on your arm that tiny? Do you know what I mean?
She wants you to ask.
Is that what it's all about?
Yeah.
I don't
wants you to ask. You played into her trick.
I'm not sure if that's the case. I mean, I've heard a tattoo artist told me this, that he feels that women tend to have tattoos that like reflect back in on themselves, and men have tattoos like for other people's viewing, which is weird because you think of women as more like, caring about their appearance and like the way they look to the outside world as a stereotype versus men. But like, for example, a tattoo that would have like a shape that you could see if my arm was flat, that would be like this. But for me, like for a girl, stereotypically, they would do something that they could look back on it. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I'm gonna agree with Connor. I just think they want you to ask what's that mean, even though they act like, look, it's none of your business. But you're that's like saying that commercial or that ad is none of my business. You're running an ad on your body.
Yes, and I would agree. You can't get touchy when people do ask about your tattoos, what they mean, what they are, because they are visible to people.
Yeah.
And you were not born with it, and it is clear to that person. You have to accept that people are going to say, why did you get that, or what does that mean? I
only have one tattoo, and that's Maroon 5. Mm-hmm. And
you feel that was a little short-sighted when you made that decision?
Maroon 5 forever, baby. They're going to last forever. They're going to rule. They're going to rule. I'm trying to think of who is the band who did Drops of Jupiter.
They're called
Train?
Yeah, Train.
Thank you. So this was the funniest thing from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The guy from Train fucking inducted Journey. And I'm laughing my ass off. And he literally spent a good part of the thing of talking how many albums they moved. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like those people who think the Journey, well, what does 110 million albums sound like to you? You're just like your cynicism. And I think that's the thing that when people are like, wait, why did a lot of people hate Journey? There is something cynical about being commercial when it comes to music.
When a lot of people like you, a lot of people are going to hate you. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, but it's like the reason that you do something, right?
Yeah.
Where Jonathan Cain from Journey, who was in the Babies before that, said, we wanted to write the story of our fans. Like, you know what I mean? We wanted those little girls to hear these songs and feel like it was their thoughts. And we're like, well, that's fucking marketing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's no longer art.
That's branding. You've branded yourself from the teen girl's mind.
They would put out a song now called Branding. You're a fine girl.
You're a fine girl.
But it was so funny to see the guy from Train fucking bringing out Journey. And I'm going to tell you something right now. All right, you know Filipino, Steve Perry. And everybody go watch this. Because there's always a lot of great shit in that. But I don't think Filipino Steve Perry, I feel like he's losing his voice.
Really?
He did not sound like Steve Perry to me. Which is a difficult thing to do, by the way.
Sure. But just like aged?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you why, but I'm like, that doesn't sound like Steve Perry so much to me. Where when he first came out, I'm like, oh, I'm looking at a fucking parrot. You know, that guy's unbelievable. But this surprised me. So Pearl Jam was coming out, right? Dave Letterman brought out Pearl Jam. And then one of the guys from Pearl Jam wanted to thank the Pearl Jamily for everything that they've done for the band. And I'm like, that may be. And again, you wonder why people fuck with Pearl Jam. When you have a Pearl Jamily.
I did not even know they were called the Pearl Jamily.
I didn't know it to that minute, so I don't know whether that's the crew or the fans, but I don't know if anyone's ever come up with like a good fan thing where you could say, oh, that's cool. Like Kiss Army to me was the first. Well, probably, I don't know. You probably go back before that, but the first I paid attention to were like, that sounds douchey. What do you mean Army?
Yeah, and it doesn't really fit them. Like they're not Army-like.
No.
It doesn't even make sense. Now, what do you think of the Bayhive?
That's who?
That is Beyonce's. Her fans call themselves the Bayhive.
Well, first of all, I don't think she should even get to call herself Bay. That just doesn't make sense.
I don't really remember when that started because I remember for many years she was Beyonce. And then one day I just started hearing everyone say Beyonce, and I don't know when it happened.
I hate when people change their fucking names, and I'm looking at you, Demi Moore. 'Cause you were Demi for many, many years. I'm trying to think of. All right, let's see. Some of the like. Here's, I think, the most cynical of all the names, because Deadheads was somewhat organic.
Sure.
But Parrot Heads was like, how do we do this and sell plastic parrots to people?
No, yeah, Parrot Head, not good.
Maybe the worst.
Maybe the worst.
Now, Neil Diamond and the Diamond Heads, I think that one is like a little funnier because you know no one is under 80.
Right.
All right, here's the old ladies that follow Manilow, and they call themselves Fanilows.
That one I like.
It's too fucking funny.
I like the Fanilows a lot. That I think is a good one. And now, we started the show off with the White Stripes. I found out White Stripes fans had a name, and I had
Let's see if we can
no
guess.
idea of this.
Whiteheads, like a zit?
Would
Ew.
they be Fruit Stripes?
No.
What are they?
Wait, are you going to guess?
No, I know. I'm just striping.
They are the Candy Cane Children.
Bullshit.
I swear, and I never knew this, and I was
My
like,
friend
what?
Chris is a candy cane child.
I'm part of the Candy Cane children.
You're the oldest.
You're their eldest child. And again, I'm going to go ahead and say that's a bit of a stretch. It's not easy to say.
But at least it's not a word play, and I give him credit for that. Now, Frank Sinatra fans, do you know what they were called in the early days?
Francophiles?
No, they were called Bobby Soxers because they all wore those tiny little socks, and the press just said, like, everywhere that you showed up, they couldn't understand this phenomenal thing that was happening. And it was just little girls wearing these tiny little socks. So it had nothing to do with, like, they were wearing Bobby socks on their own. And they were just called Bobby Soxers. And I'm like, that's a fucking kind of a great name. And it's up there with Red Sox, White Sox.
Yeah.
You know, your socks should be a lot more important. Hey, Brian, what's happening, buddy?
Hey, Mr. B. I thought Pearl Jam killed it on that Hall of Fame thing, but one thing I picked up on was Neil Young was missing, and it seemed odd. So, I'm hoping he's all right.
Well, Neil Young is in his 70s, and there are going to be times when you have to do health-related things. There's just nothing around. It doesn't mean that it's life-threatening every single time.
Right.
But if you have any elderly people in your family, there's just sometimes they have a bad 6 months.
Yeah.
Aging fucking blows.
It's not great. We got to fix that.
Well, we have. That's the weird thing about it. We used to die in our 40s. And I'm telling you this, I remember guys in their 40s seeming really old when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Guys in their 40s have fucking
lived
canes
hard.
and shit. Yeah. If you go back and watch Mickey Mantle stuff, his dad would come at the games and he would be so frail. And it was because he was a coal miner and he was in his fucking 40s.
Yeah.
You don't know anybody that was as old as fucking Mickey Mantle's dad. And he died in his 40s. So we have fixed it. It's ridiculous how much that's moved up in one fucking generation. I don't know. I guess the next generation, little kids now, they're saying we're close to having that person who they'll just keep parting out and won't die. I just don't know what happens to the brain. Then they're going to go, oh, we'll put some computer chips in there. You're like, is it still them? I'm glad I'm not around for that fucking debate.
I know.
Man. I don't want any part of the future. It looks like
and that has something to do with singularity too, right? When it's just when we get to the point, I could be misunderstanding what it means, but I think it's something where you can download your memory
into a hard drive, or you're on your brain and consciousness, and all your memories are on a server,
and therefore you live forever.
I don't think so.
According to this,
yeah,
I don't think so. Hey, Jeff in Buffalo.
Hey, Ron, how's it going?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about bands and what you think about their peak.
Okay.
I have a theory that usually as they get older, maybe 30 and above, they're never as good as they were when they were younger. Maybe they overthink lyrics, or maybe everything's not as instinctual, or what do you think?
Well, first of all, your theory is not crystal clear enough for us to call an actual theory. We can agree that there seems to be a peak in a band, but it's also interesting that when people go in their second and third bands, they're also able to have that same kind of thing. So I don't know if it has as much to do with age as just where your head is at the time. No matter what the band is, if they're around for a long time, you go to see them in concert, and it's still going to be 80 to 90% of their set is going to be their first 4 albums. That also has...
That's kind of what I was thinking.
But that also has to do with the audience, that the audience loses their ability to have more new music. Now, take somebody like Bob Dylan, who's had a long career. You would say that he peaked in the 60s, right? But for me, the peak was in the 70s, because that's when I got into him, and I got into him with the new albums that he was making at the time.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's more reflective.
About almost your own youth, and the stuff that you talk. Because would you say that about other artists that are not musicians? Would you say the best books a writer writes are his first couple when they're younger?
There is some truth that older people don't write great novels late into their life. It's a kind of a different art form, and a lot of people say that painters get better as they get older. A lot of people will say actors get better. Actually, you can look at musicianship and it improves. Right.
That's a clear skill that the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Some of that is craft, but what we're talking about is the art of songwriting.
Yeah.
And I think some of that... All right, here's another one. Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm.
When people bring up Aerosmith, I never think of when they even had their biggest hits in the fucking late 80s and the 90s. I'm 70s Aerosmith. So if I go see Aerosmith and they start playing their biggest hits, I'm like, okay, let's get through these.
Right.
And get back to Toys in the Attic. You know what I mean? I went and saw Bowie. And it was amazing to see when people would go fucking crazy for what songs.
Yeah, because a lot of people love 80s Bowie. It's their favorite Bowie.
What shocks me is those 80s Bowie fans didn't even go back and listen to the other albums. They're just sitting there through Suffragette City, and then when Let's Dance hits, they're like, I was in 11th grade once. You know what I mean? So a lot of times we blame the artist, and I don't know whether that's always true. I think it's our own perception. I know Quentin Tarantino says he wants to stop because he doesn't believe older people make good movies.
Yeah.
He wants to stop making movies.
But then that's weird. Well, maybe again that has to do with craft versus storytelling ability, because I was thinking about who was the editor that worked on no, not the editor, sorry. It was the composer who did the music for his last film. And again, that would be writing music. I mean, he was very old. Is that more along the lines of craft versus creativity?
But here's the other thing. I'm not that familiar with his music. You know what I mean? And I think it goes back to that thing. The more that you're familiar with people, here's Chuck in Florida. Chuck.
Yeah, hey, Ron. You and I are exactly the same age, and you would probably agree with me that no version of the Stones were better than the very late 60s, early 70s with Mick Taylor. You would agree with that?
I would agree 100%, but I happen to love Mick Taylor, and I love those songs. But I love Ronnie Wood, but I don't... I'm going to move him back to the Faces. I'm going to move Mick Taylor back to the Stones. Sorry, Brian, I'm going to keep you dead. It's not your fault.
Oh, you have the ability to bring him back?
Yeah, I have the ability over everything right now. Wow. It's the barometer. It's the Bennington barometer. But I could totally get why people would say the 60s Stones are better. By the way, you guys still have never seen that movie Charlie is a Good Boy? Or something like that. It's a documentary of the Stones in 64. These fucking kids were so crazy and so fucking good. And their audience was batshit. They were driving around fucking Ireland. And they were a fucking punk band. They were not the best musicians yet. And they were just fucking great. And I had never seen that version of the Stones before. I mean, you see the little Ed Sullivan clips and all, but they were dressed up for those shows. You know what I mean?
They're in skinny ties.
Yeah, they were putting their Sunday best. And even then, they were kind of wearing that new wave Reservoir Dog outfit, but they were just fucking great. Let's go to Robert. Robert, what's up? Don't have you. Here's Dave in Chicago. Dave.
Hey, Ron. How's it going?
Yeah.
Did you watch the Hall of Fame induction ceremony?
I did. Not live, but the one that they put out on HBO recently, edited down.
Yeah, I saw it last night, and I thought it was an amazing show. You know, Joan Baez is what she is, and Yes was amazing. And then Tupac comes out, and it seemed to ruin the whole thing. It was just seemed so out of place.
What ruined it for you about Tupac?
Well, it seems like half the time they were playing other people's songs. You know, it was just all.
You just never got past that hip hop thing. I get it. Just still.
No, I know.
Now, here was the amazing thing about Tupac: the amount of pictures and video of Tupac laughing, smiling. And I'm like, man, he's never presented as a joyful guy.
Yeah.
And it just looked like he was having a ball most of his life.
Well, he had a very sweet angel face. There was something very feminine and pretty about his face.
Very charismatic.
Yeah.
Very charismatic. But now you see the pictures and all, it's like Tupac, Black Panther. But he was very, and then, Snoop came out and told a fucking hilarious story because Tupac wasn't an icon to him. It was his buddy. They basically came up together.
Right.
And he was saying that Tupac was the person who first turned him on the weed. which was making me laugh. Yeah. And then he told this story about him and Tupac parasailing with the guy from Death Row Records was driving the boat.
Suge Knight?
Yeah, Suge Knight was driving the fucking boat. And I'm not fucking kidding you. It was as funny as stand-up. It was funny as shit. It was funny as fucking shit, man. I know some people are always going to be mad about hip-hop being a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but it's already been decided.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't go back now.
We're trying to say the Music Hall of Fame when we say it.
And it's like they're giving credit because they're saying, well, rock influenced everything. And that's a kind of
right.
coming
I mean,
from.
but it doesn't matter. This could be called the Jazz Hall of Fame, whatever. We're just trying to have a fucking Hall of Fame and have some live music. You know?
Just have fun with it.
Yeah, and I mean, the fucking fun thing about it is you see Yes comes out and Geddy Lee is playing for them. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit just doesn't happen. You might as well enjoy it.
Right.
You know? The other funny thing about Yes was you were here when Yes came in, right?
Yes.
And, you know, John Anderson, the singer, is so small, so tiny, that I noticed, and I've never seen this happen again before. So they're all on stage, and then on the stage is another little stage that John Anderson is standing on that with his microphone. Or else you, I guess, wouldn't be able to see him around the normal-sized people. But he could literally be in Lord of the Rings.
I need a second stage. A double stage.
Now, this is the weirdest thing. John Anderson has always had that voice, right? It's a very unique voice. Normally, you would consider that, and you know because you're a singer, why is it that for him it works? And if another person was born with that, they would say, look, I don't think you should be a singer. You really have a weak voice, you know? Neil Young is a perfect example. Neil Young, if he was your friend, you'd be like, Neil, stop fucking singing along with the radio. I can't enjoy it. But why does Neil Young's voice work?
It's just because he's doing his own thing. You know what I mean? Because he's not doing like, I'm going to do the Standards album or something like that. And even if he did, he would completely change it. He's like his own thing.
But I think it's impossible to sing a Neil Young song without doing an impression of Neil.
You can't.
I'll be like, can I dream of southern nights in harbor?
Come a little bit closer.
So fucking good.
And it's fun.
Yeah. And then when people say to you, oh, Bob Dylan can't sing or Neil Young can't sing, you're like, yeah, okay, in the regular sense of it, but it fucking destroys me. I like a raspy voice, too.
Yeah, a little grit to it.
Yeah, I don't know, like it sounds like you're just gargling a little fucking sand and pebbles.
Yeah, well, I think that's what really kind of sets aside, it makes people who enjoy that kind of sound difficult to then just like a pop voice, which tends to just be like, clean, and it's like, yeah, you're hitting all the notes, but what am I
Here's what we're doing
listening
right now. Who do you think is your favorite singer of all time?
Oh, my God.
Let's go to Conan first.
Okay.
Oof.
I don't know.
Back to Gail.
Okay, I'm going to say this, and again, this is a very unique voice. No one else sounds like this person. Elvis Costello.
Wow. That's a great fucking voice. That's a voice as an instrument. You know? Springsteen again?
No, because, like, if we're being fair, he's not, like, his voice isn't the most beautiful thing in the world.
It's almost an average voice.
Yeah.
Bruce says.
But I always found Frank Sinatra's voice very calming and soothing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people would agree with you on that. Personally, I choose Dean Martin over Frank Sinatra.
Really?
Dean Martin, to me, is the effortless one. But he also didn't give a fuck. He would throw jokes in the middle of his songs. Chris?
A lot of people don't like his voice, Warren Zevon. I've talked to people like, I can't listen to Warren Zevon songs.
Yeah, but I think he's a great songwriter. I think that's what you're attached to, not so much the voice. Here would be the way to say, if Warren Zevon was doing a bunch of covers, would you be like, oh, this fucking slays me? Because I was listening to a lot of radio all over the place last week, and I was just like, fucking Linda Ronstadt, unbelievable voice.
Yeah. Really, really beautiful.
And there's like a couple, there's like one voice is just like so easy it comes to her, and then she'll push it to the point of breaking at other points where you would go, okay, you need to come back some. You know what I mean? And that's when somebody is like a vocalist, like really gets it.
Yeah.
For me, Van Morrison always fucking slayed me. Teddy Pendergrass, always slays me. It's tough to get out of those soul singers like Sam Cooke, or whatever. Those guys are just
right. They have just like perfect instruments.
Garth, what's up?
Hey guys, I finally watched that documentary or rockumentary on Netflix. Danny Says.
Oh yeah, it's on Netflix right now. It's great, right?
It's fucking amazing. I mean, the influence that one person could have on music and not be a musician, unbelievable.
Well, you know what's really interesting is there are, some of the most important people to rock and roll are people who did not play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you look at Bill Graham and what he did for people, you're like, he may be more important than anybody else.
Yeah, and like Danny Fields also, it was like he worked with so many different groups, and like, his influence wasn't just like specific to just one scene. Like he got to live a lot of lives in the different groups.
Charlie Is My Darling is the name of that Stones thing. People sending it to me, and I appreciate it because I can never remember it. And weirdly, Leeds is the one who gave me that. And
really?
I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch this, Leeds. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I care about the Stones in fucking 63 and 64. And it was great. All right, I just I thought of somebody else whose voice destroys me, and that's Donny Hathaway. Could fucking listen to Donny Hathaway every goddamn day of my life. Here's what my wish. I wish I could have been there to pick his music out for me. I really do feel like, here's the song for you, Donnie, and I'll see you tomorrow, and I want you to have it perfectly. Here's John in Jersey.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
I just got to add that the best voice in music has to be Freddie Mercury.
Well, we're not talking about Broadway, but I see what you're saying. And that was the thing of Freddie Mercury for me, that I didn't fucking hear the soul.
Yeah, it was too much range for you. It was too poppy for you.
It was like, watch me like a Broadway singer. Like when I go to a Broadway show, I'm like, do they even fucking know what this song is about? You know what I mean? It's fucking strange that how much those guys sing the same. And that's one of the things that keeps me away from like heavy metal, is they'll do the same thing. It sounds like Broadway. It sounds like I went to fucking Phantom of the Opera.
Like it's overperformed.
I don't believe any of this. I don't believe that you think that you're fucking devil worshippers. I don't think that, it's all like Spinal Tap to me. Court in California.
Hey, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Hey, man, real quick. I was watching that this morning, and I just was thinking about your show, and I go, I wonder if Ron's going to talk about the Hall of Fame. First of all, Jeff Lynne, ELO's a pretty good band. I was watching that, and that was amazing. That's a talented, that guy's pretty talented. And then, man, Steve Perry, I couldn't believe how much people were freaking for him. I get it, but he hasn't sung in 25 years, and they just were crying for that guy.
Well, sometimes that makes you like somebody more. You know what I mean? That he hasn't been around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he held off. He did not take the bait.
I just thought
that was amusing.
I don't know if he can sing those songs the way he sang them, and he doesn't want to do that. And I could totally get that.
Yeah. I mean, a voice, some people, for whatever reason, are able to keep their voice in the same condition in their youth. And I don't really know how people do it. But yeah, your voice ages. I mean, you see that even with the great, female diva singers, and you see they kind of have to change the style in which they approach the song. It's usually got to be lower and brassier, and they can't be hitting those really strong, powerful notes.
But nobody would expect an athlete to still play the same way.
Yeah.
And a lot of athletes, like in Steve Perry's case, I would say this, you don't want to go to an old timers game and see fucking somebody not be able to hit the ball out of the infield, It's a rough thing to see. It's the same way where like a woman will not wear a bikini past a certain age when she was a sex symbol, you know? And it's always funny when people are like, what happened to Raquel Welch? What the fuck are you talking about? What happened? Did you think she was going to stay like that? You know what I mean? That's fucking crazy. Usain Bolt is going to get beat in a race by his grandchildren one day. So that's the way life works. But I will say this about Steve Perry, and I'm not a big Journey fan. That's one of the most unique voices I've ever fucking heard in my life. It's an amazing voice.
Yeah. It's very smooth and like...
I don't know if I would even just say smooth. I don't even know how to describe it.
Power.
Yeah, I mean, he could fucking hit places, you know. And I will say this. There's something in there that'll break your heart a little bit. You know what I mean? There's something, and that to me is being soulful, you know? Where I don't fucking hear that with Freddie Mercury, who I agree has an amazing voice. It doesn't make him one of my favorite singers.
Yeah. I've always liked Freddie Mercury's voice, but I get what you're saying about the performative nature of it. Same with pop.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain it to my 7-year-old son that if you can listen to a song and feel what they're singing, because he likes pop songs, I'm saying, all right, now listen to Otis Redding. Can you feel the heartache in what the shit he's saying?
Yeah, it is.
That'll change you.
That is, I mean, it's, but here's the thing, and I was standing out last night after dinner, and I'm having a smoke on the street, and cars are going by, and it's a beautiful night. The windows are down. I just heard auto-tune, fucking song after song after song. So maybe it doesn't matter as much to fucking people now.
Yeah, which is kind of weird too, because again, there was like that big resurgence of, you know, The Voice in American Idol and all that kind of stuff. Where it seemed
I think that was the worst thing that happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like that became the thing, and then like immediate response to that was like auto-tune being the norm, and like they're like two like bad sides of one coin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird. Steve, Indiana.
Hey, Bennington's. I'm sure that you're familiar with this, but the Funk Brothers, the band that backed up Motown singers,
yes,
they had a documentary. Amazing group of musicians.
Not only did I see that, but they invited me to come watch them rehearse up at the Apollo in Harlem, and it was fucking nuts. We just sat there and watched them go through these songs, and there was no singers. It was them just playing their part.
And
they were bringing different singers out.
And they had an audience for that rehearsal?
It was us.
Holy
it was
shit.
us and their crew. And they were just so, like, this was early on when this thing was still in theaters. And, you know, we brought them on, and they were just like, man, thank you for letting us tell this story in New York City. Please come with us. They couldn't believe anyone gave a shit.
Wow.
Like when the guy came to them, they're like, who gives a fuck? So what? I played bass on 100 fucking Motown songs. Because they lived their whole life that no one gave a fuck. You know what I mean? That literally, like we cannot believe that a lot of that early 60s music was played by session musicians.
Yeah.
Session musicians all over the fucking world. Played, because those guys were so young that had hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were like fucking 20.
And no wonder, you know, the quality of that music was just so stunning. And like, of course, because like they just had like hired guns doing that.
They were jazz musicians who went in and played during the daytime, but also went out and played jazz every night, which is really also interesting. Like one is work and the other is fun. I'm Michael in Colorado.
Hey, good morning, Bennington. How you doing?
What's up?
I was going to go with Tony Bennett and Tom Jones, but I just wanted to comment about, like you were saying, Steve Perry's voice and John Anderson's voice. Those guys are hitting those notes, and Gail will attest to this, full voice, as opposed to using a falsetto. And there's a big difference. Prince had that soaring, high falsetto, but it's a different part of your voice, and that'll last longer with some people as opposed to like Robert Plant
well, a lot of those guys were untrained. You know what I mean? Daryl Hall was telling me that because his mom was in choir or whatever, a choir master.
Yeah.
He was trained.
I was a bass player for John Oates for years and years. We worked together for like 17 years. When he did solo stuff, I was in the rhythm section. To be on stage with him and hear that voice every single night, that beautiful falsetto. As you know, you just had him in for the interview. Yeah. He can still do that.
No, they both. It's kind of amazing that these guys are around 70 years old and doing Philly fucking Blue-Eyed Soul from 73. It's pretty crazy.
The longevity and the fact that the voice still works. I mean, it still works as well as it does is unbelievable.
Now, Tom Jones and the person here who has a Tom Jones type voice is Connor, that he fucking sings.
Oh my God, he's unbelievable. The power in that voice.
It is fucking crazy.
It's
how great he is. A great singer and a great performer. I've told this story before. I went to see his show with a bunch of guys in Vegas. We were there for a fight, and we were acting like, you know what? Let's get fucking goofy tonight and go to a Tom Jones show. And we were treating it like we were going to a fucking musician's show or something, or like we were going to a Wayne Newton show. This motherfucker came out. Not only did he have an incredible soul fucking voice, his band was a kick-ass fucking soul band. We were going nuts.
Yeah.
Fucking 3 songs in, man. We're fucking dancing on the table.
She's a lady.
But that's the only part of it. He was like fucking doing like Joe Cocker songs. Wow. And he was doing, he covers Lenny Kravitz. He covers Prince. He's fucking great. There's that thing online. Look it up. Janis Joplin and him singing together, and Tom Jones singing together.
I would love to hear that.
It's fucking amazing. It takes Chris a while to find stuff, but he is going to find it. Eric, what's up?
Hey, Bennington.
Hey.
Hey, so I'm actually going with 2 kind of unique voices. One would be Mr. Glenn Campbell. The other would be Frankie Valli.
Well, Glenn Campbell, and Glenn Campbell is kind of interesting because, first of all, he's a fucking great musician, but he was in the Wrecking Crew, right? He was fucking part of that. He's such a great studio musician, and all those great studio musicians was like, oh no, fucking Glenn can play. And I think he plays everything by ear, where those guys could read charts, and he would just like, play it for me, and then be able to go. And they all had respect for him, and then he would sing backup. And I don't know how it crossed over that he got to make his own album and shit, but he had hits. And then he came and recorded with the Wrecking Crew. And they were just fucking cracking up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like this guy?
Yeah. Like he's one of us, but now his picture's on the front of the album. And from Frankie Valli is just a fucking freak of nature, I think. That's something that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's just like, it's like so angel-like.
It is, and it's weird, and people would, like, I can't imagine what parents were fucking thinking. Holy shit. Bob just said this to me. He's giving me a Bennington barometer. Play it. Oh my God, why is our team so slow to do stuff?
Bob Fonseca's Bennington barometer!
What was that? Let me hear it one more time.
Is this the new one?
Yeah, I have 2 new ones for you guys.
Just play the one.
Bob Fonseca's Bennington barometer!
All right, Bob Fonseca just sent this. Funk Brothers or the Wrecking Crew? That's a tough one.
My God.
He always has the roughest ones. I wish there was a third, that I could wrap a belt around my neck and then hang myself so no one has to come to the end of this.
Don't do that. That's taking it too far.
As you know, I love both these. And I highly recommend both documentaries. I'm going to give reluctantly. By the way, where are the plates that everybody's holding up?
Oh, yeah.
They're in the mail. They will be here tonight.
The mail doesn't help us. Why
Why
don't you make them by hand?
I'm just updating you guys.
Give me the opening again.
Bob Fonseca's Bennington barometer!
Vito, why would you cut out from the Genius Mind or the Brilliant?
Oh, I have the larger opening. That was, I thought we were just doing the quick bed.
Why would we do a quick bed? You know what I mean? All right. Right off the bat, first of all, yes, I do feel like the Bulls are playing tonight. You know what I mean? It's the 90s and the Bulls playing. My only problem here is I don't feel like it gives Bob enough credit. It just felt like it, like if I wasn't paying close attention, I would go, oh, did Ron come up with this game? I did not.
I mean, I do like the phrase from the creative mind of.
Yeah, but maybe it could even be, showing how genius this was.
You're right. I'll be back to the drawing board.
By the way, I feel just as... Don't draw anything. This is fucking radio, okay? We work with what? Sound, okay?
Okay.
You don't draw sound.
Be back to the listening board.
That's no such thing, Let me just say this. This game makes me just as nervous as the first time Bob brought up because I act like it's more important than most people would. The question was what again?
The Funk Brothers or the Wrecking Crew?
In that order, or did it go Wrecking Crew and then Funk Brothers?
I believe it was Funk Brothers, Wrecking Crew.
Let's see. Funk Brothers or Wrecking Crew? Funk Brothers or Wrecking Crew?
I hope I get this match.
I have to reluctantly... No. It's the Funk Brothers.
Whoa, I missed it!
I matched. Missed.
Whoa, I went Wrecking Crew. I'm so shocked.
Well, here's the thing. That made an entire genre of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the Wrecking Crew could play with anything. Anything. The Funk Brothers created one of only two things to be proud of in the 1960s if you were American. And that was Motown and NASA. Those are the two things that we had. One, fighting off the Russians in space. Two, fighting off the English invasion. Little uncut mop tops coming here, taking over the charts, taking our music, eating it, and then regurgitating it back into our faces.
And then taking your women as well, in turn.
Here's why I picked the two Funk Brothers. Bum, bum, bump, bum, bum, bump, bum, bum, bump. Greatest thing never happened.
Boom, 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 boom.
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
This is... Tom Jones had a TV show in the late 60s. I think it was called Tom Jones and His Crazy Fucking Penis. And this is one of Janis Joplin's few times performing on television. And just watch these two for a second.
If you ever need something, honey, you never, ever, ever had, and I know you never had. Oh, honey, do you just sit there crying? Or you sit there feeling bad? No, no, no. You better get up, and do you understand and raise your hand? I said, raise. You know I'm standing above. I want you to give me all your love.
great was
shit,
that?
that was amazing.
Yeah. How great was that?
Dude, they're so great, and they're fucking dancing in it, just like, man, she's so cool too. Like, talk about like a voice with like a texture that,
Yeah,
you know, it's
I
like
mean,
you
that
can't
couldn't
really
blast it, right?
Yeah, no
what she was
way,
doing
that
to it.
rasp, yeah.
Like the luckiest thing about her early death is she, you know, still had the voice.
Yeah.
Because probably by 31 it's over. You know?
So much whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all she did.
So much whiskey and cum. Come to mama, baby.
That's not a chaser, honey.
Johnny Go-Go. What's up, buddy?
What's up, buddies?
Yeah.
So jealous about your trip the other day. It just sounded so great when you guys were laughing and recapping. So
Yeah, we had a blast.
you need to do a fan trip next year where we all follow you and just watch you like zoo animals.
Well, you could have this year. You could go to that show. I mean, a lot of people did come from around the country for that. It was a blast.
It sounded great. Hey, my favorite voice is Karen Carpenter. Like,
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
Yeah.
so wonderful and beautiful. And I find myself, if I'm like flipping around in the car and it just comes on or comes on the airport, I'm the guy singing at the traffic light. Like, she's just so beautiful.
The problem with her is she was just so fat. If she could have just lost that weight, you know? She was
That's why she'll never make
She
it.
was the first, like, people didn't even understand anorexia because actually she was never fat, but she just saw herself as fat.
Right.
It was like dysmorphia.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck was going on with her. I wish I had had 5 minutes with her, though.
Yeah.
I just,
Oh,
let me
did someone
take care.
tell you you were fat? Because you're really not bad.
That's all you got to do.
In fact,
As a matter
too
of fact,
thin.
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to
Yeah.
say too thin.
I'm going to give you a sandwich and cookies today.
Hey, can we do, Gail, just from a PR advice standpoint, I need you to carry a box around with you for these photos when you're doing Gail Meets Girls photos. The all comics next to you is ridiculous.
No, I like it. I like the fact that
Her
she
waist.
Yeah, I like the fact she looks tiny, though.
Can't help it.
Yeah.
I was born this way. Don't height shame me.
I don't like people who stand on a box. The fucking football announcer does that.
Oh, Glazer, right?
No,
Yeah, from Fox.
no. Which one?
Jay Glazer.
Well, Jay Glazer is tiny, but no one gives a shit about him. It's the guy who does the
Costas?
No, the other. You already said Costas. The guy whose dad was a fucking
Buck.
Yeah, Buck. He stands when they cut to when they cut to the Sunday night games. He's on it because he's like Troy Aikman is a big fucker, and they have like a little box that somebody has to fucking carry around. So they both look. Yeah, and then they have a hole that Aikman has to stand in. They have an 8-inch box and an 8-inch hole. All right, good to talk to you, brother. Peace.
I just got a text from a Nick DiPaolo. Actually, 4 texts in a row. Meatloaf, meatloaf, meatloaf. Killer voice, meatloaf. And I'm in a doctor's office right now.
Well, first of all, Nick DiPaolo, congratulations for coming over to Sirius XM. I'm very, very excited about it.
I'm looking forward to it.
The last time I saw DiPaolo, we were down at the stand, and he just goes up and kills. And then both times I saw him recently, I went up after him, and I can't help but comment, which you're, I guess, not supposed to do. But I'm like, Nick will be around to mingle later, you know, just because he just fucking goes. I mean, he's unbelievable. So it's 6 to 8 on the Faction, right?
Yes, on Faction. And it starts May 15th.
I can't wait.
It's going to be great.
Of course. He's already doing that great podcast, and now we get to hear it. Really, really cool. Really, really cool. You always say that he's your favorite, right?
I do. I absolutely adore that man.
I gotta say this. This was also, I guess, near tragic. Jeannie Gaffigan, who we did the Unmasked when she produced a TV show, her and Jim, she had a brain tumor. She had a 9-hour operation.
Oh my God.
To get out of it. And she says she's doing well now. But 9 hours of a knife on your brain? And anyone who's a Jim Gaffigan fan probably knows it. But she, certain comics have told me, like, even years ago, when Jim would be on stage, she's in the audience writing shit down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, That's funny. You got your girlfriend helping you, and now they're like, "Oh, that worked out." That turned out to be a fucking great idea. Huh?
Wow, that's really scary.
So, she is, as they said during the Unmasked, the smart one. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He's the big fun, Pop-Tartian guy, whatever. But she's the one who's like, let's put this all together. I guess you could still be considered smart if you have 5 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment, but I'm not exactly sure. I guess maybe she's smart about the comedy business. But she's very, very dedicated to that show. And they put together a great TV show, and then they pulled the plug on it, and the stand-up is still going fantastic. So put something on the Bennington Twitter. I don't know how all that stuff works.
Tweet it out.
And then retweet it.
How do you retweet it?
I think you
You can't retweet yourself, can you?
You can now.
What?
I just noticed this.
I feel like I live in a fucking... I've gone through the looking glass.
I just noticed this. I don't know when it happened, but I just only noticed it like a week ago. You can now retweet your own tweet. I think you only get one, of course.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But
nice.
you are able to retweet your own tweets.
Okay. Craig, Madison.
Hey, my favorite is Stevie Nicks, After the Glitter Fades, is one of the greatest songs I ever sung.
I love Stevie Nicks' voice. I love it.
All women do. Stevie Nicks is beloved by women. Now, Craig, you're in Madison, right?
Yes, sir.
You know how you're always talking about your Madison shoes? We do a thing here. We call it the Madison Blues. I'll just leave it at that. He's not even trying. You know what I mean? They're not even trying in that song. The blues guys could get away with a lot of that stuff. Stevie Nicks here's an interesting thing. She doesn't have some crazy Freddie Mercury voice.
Yes.
You know.
She has the rasp and the grit to her voice. When she, the louder she gets, the strain she puts on it, the vibration in that strain is just beautiful.
And there's something in the feeling of that.
Yeah.
Where some of the big divas singers, I think they lack connecting with the song.
Yeah.
All right. So we were watching that piece, Raise Your Hand, with Janis Joplin, Tom Jones, sax player. Changes everything. When his sax comes in, suddenly it sounds like there's more players. But I have a friend, Mike Kaka. He's the inventor of the Ron Bennington. He's got his own cupcake. By the way, he's taking a walkabout right now.
Oh, really?
Just shut everything down, got on his motorcycle, then came Bronson.
Very cool.
Well, I guess he's gone out there thinking a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
He's going
But
to come back changed.
he said this to me, because he's kind of a hair metal guy. If you have a horn, it ceases to be rock and roll. The horn keeps it from being rock and roll.
No. That can't be true.
It's wrong.
No one is agreeing with them?
No. 100% no. How could, all right, well, yeah,
He
think about how
believes
many
brass takes it from being rock and roll to being a marching band.
That's no.
Brass
is wrong.
He will say, he said this to me, there shall be no brass in rock and roll.
Oh my God.
But Little Richard had brass. Like it's,
I know.
Yeah, right from Jump Street, right? Now, some people don't like it when there's like trumpets or anything like that. I'm like, no, give me a fucking horn section.
I like a horn section in a rock band. I love it.
Vito, you're the only one quiet here.
Well,
your guy
I thought you were going to speak. I was going to say it.
Clarence. I said, you can't put Clarence out of a job right now.
First of all, he's passed away.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, don't put his nephew out of a job.
That's worse than saying that. That's worse than you helping.
Good God.
Don't put Clarence's nephew. That's what he calls that guy, Clarence's nephew. He's his own person. No. So we're all thinking Mike's crazy.
Highly disagree.
Maybe this walkabout gets his head straight over brass.
They come
Maybe
back.
a realization.
I don't think that's what he's focusing on. Let me be totally honest.
Holy shit.
By the way, Mike also, and I want you to be careful with this, he doesn't like Bruce Springsteen.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I didn't even use the actual words that he used.
If I have to guess, it has to do with that brass. It's brass related.
Doesn't like his voice or his songs.
Okay, that's ridiculous. He's known as one of the best songwriters of all time. I'm sorry.
Hey, who?
Multiple media outlets.
I'm not sure. You know what? Here's the funny thing about Bruce. I prefer his songs before he became a polished songwriter. I like the first two and the third thing. When he was just shoving fucking words in, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's
He just had a rhyming
great.
dictionary and he was just like, this rhymes with this, and I'm going to sing it.
But as soon as I heard him do, got a wife and kids in Baltimore, Jack. I'm like, well, anyone could have wrote that. You know what I mean? That stopped being a Springsteen song. You know, but I loved that early shit. It just fucking slayed me.
Like Grown Up?
Yes, like Growing Up. I mean, we could go through the entire fucking thing, but... Maureen, in New York, how are you, darling?
Good. How are you? I missed you while you were away.
Well, you know, every once in a while, I got to take my own walkabout, you know? I got to do my thing.
I'm not saying it's your fault, but while you were away, I showed up at church with my dress on backwards and 2 different shoes.
Are you
I may have had a stroke, but I think it was the lack of Bennington in my ear holes made me a little crazy for a while.
She had her dress on... What, inside out or backwards?
No, backwards. It was one of those ones that's just like kind of like a big shirt. But I noticed the tag, and I crossed my legs and thought, I thought I wore the comfortable version of these shoes to church. And I went, ooh, yeah, on one foot I did. And then on the other foot, they're very similar shoes, but they're not the same.
What you are describing would be called a nightmare. Like, this is when you go, oh, my God, I'm sleeping, because this can't happen.
I know. Well, you know, to get everybody ready and get there, sometimes I'm the last to be the most put together, but I like to be the most put together, but I wasn't that day. But I, you know, like I say, I was a little off while you were away.
Well, your hair always looks nice, though.
Thank you. But what I wanted to ask you about, and it's because a couple years ago, Van Morrison did this duets album, and he sang with Mick Hucknall. It always made me wonder, how do you feel about Mick Hucknall from Simply Red? Because they do The Streets of Arklow on there, and it is so nice, the two of them together.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a great singer, you know?
Yeah.
Not always the biggest fan of the songs, but it doesn't mean that you're not a great singer.
I'd like to pick some songs for him, too. But he recently did, like, some old ones, you know, like I'd Rather Go Blind and stuff like that. He kind of did some.
Now I'll have to look into that. But
yes.
I'll call up any record company and say, I would love to have the job of song picker. You know what else I love, and it doesn't happen that much, but I like when an artist covers another artist, like as an entire album. You know what I mean?
Right. Like Ryan Adams, he just did Taylor Swift, the whole thing.
I had no idea that, so no to that. By the way, her guys are called the Swifties. The Swifties. Yeah. But I remember the first time, like, Willie did Leon's entire, you know, hit catalog, and I'm like, this is fun. Why aren't more people doing this? I want to hear Elvis Costello cover Elvis Presley. Elvis on Elvis.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah, this is another thing. Give me the job of naming your album, because I feel great about that. Now, we're going to do something with your band, Leeds, right?
Oh, yeah.
And how many pieces are you bringing in?
For the recording?
Yeah, how many players are you going to have on this?
So we have the usual band. We have two guitars, me on one of them, bass and drums, and we have a sax player.
You're bringing a sax player?
So that guy could go.
So it's...
Go fuck himself.
All right.
So,
oh, my God.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. The inventor of the Ron Bennington's got his own cupcake. You're telling me I got to go to break, right?
This is single real quick.
But Johnny's here. And you didn't answer Johnny back yesterday.
I didn't.
Nor did you answer me back when I answered Johnny on the group text.
I didn't?
No.
I did not know. And that's my apologies to Johnny and all.
Johnny!
I passed on the chance to throw Chris under the bus on that one, by the way.
Okay. That's your own way. I guess you're calling in because you heard Johnny Go-Go killed today.
No, he stinks and he should never short shame anybody, that fella. Just because he's tall, he shouldn't make fun of Gail for being short, telling her she carry a box around. That's terrible.
Could you imagine if he would have said, Gail, we want to put some white face on you
Yeah.
so people don't realize.
Who's he to give PR advice live on the air? What the hell's going on there?
When he said PR advice, did he mean Puerto Rican advice?
I think so, yeah, because they're generally short people.
So what can we do for you, Johnny?
Well, what the fuck is Mike Kaka smoking that he thinks that you can't have brass or some sort of animal of something like that in a band and make it not call it rock and roll?
We got Horatio Sands. Is that why you were racing us?
Yeah, I apologize.
All right, I got to say hi to Horatio Sands, but we all agree with you.
Thanks. So hi, Horatio.
Okay. So why don't you do like the...
Horatio Sands is coming in the studio. His show, Great News, airs Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on NBC, and he'll be appearing tonight on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Nice.
Horatio Sands in studio with us. You know, we were just doing some of the best voices in rock, and I forgot this is one of the greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
By the way, how does one drum and sing at the same time? How can that even be done?
You got to be like Don Henley, you know, it's like you're so confident.
Only a couple. You're a singer. I was at I think you opened up SNL like in the pre-show singing one time when I was there.
Yeah, me and Jimmy would do, we do like songs, and we do Merry Christmas, the Ramones Merry Christmas. Sometimes that was fun.
Yeah.
I would dress as a weird S&M Santa, so Lauren really hated it. He was like, why the S&M? Thank you.
Congratulations on the new TV show, too.
Thank you,
so
man.
Exciting.
It's been fun. I actually watch it and laugh, which is good, which is rare. So
Is that hard to watch yourself, though, and not go, oh, Jesus, you know?
Yeah, as it works out, it usually takes me a couple months. Like I was given a screener of all the shows, and I was like, nah, I can't, not yet. And I'd rather watch it when it airs and, DVR it. So, but watching it takes, like when I used to do SNL, I wouldn't watch it the next day, but I would wait till they repeated it.
Yeah.
And then I'd be interested. And I think all the stuff that I do, I'm okay with it later, but when it's too fresh, you're like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that.
It's a great cast too. Sure. I mean, you're great on it. I love Andrea Martin so much, and she's so fantastic on the show.
Yeah, I worshipped those people from SCTV.
Yeah, me too.
And SNL, and I was lucky enough to get on SNL, but that they were definitely both equally my influences. I really loved everybody, and Andrea Martin, to work with her, she's I don't know how old she is, but she's so great jumping around and like a really, really great comedian.
Well, she's a great comedian. She's always been, and to me, both the SCTV girls, crazy sexy. But I always found funny girls that have that crazy sex appeal too. But Andrea is one of those people that, like, when she was younger.
Do you date crazy comedians?
There's something very attractive about really funny girls.
Yeah, because it takes a little intelligence too. Yeah. And so when they're on the ball like that, as with anybody, it's sexy. Yeah. You know? Funny, sexy, thank God. Or else I'd still be a virgin.
Well, I had read stuff that you talked about before when you were on SNL. You never felt like you were completely staying. It took years before you felt like, okay, I won't get fired.
Yeah, for the first 3 years or something like that. You're waiting. You're waiting, and you're in LA. Drinking your balls off, and you're waiting for NBC to go, okay, you're coming back, and then it's like, not yet, we're still waiting, and it's like, oh damn. And then finally, like after the 4th season, after I'd done enough recurrent sketches, I it was pretty obvious that they were going to keep me around. But yeah, those first years, it's pretty tough because those guys don't know if they'll be there the next year.
That's always funny because, like, when you look at dream jobs, and that's one of them, or the NFL, you don't realize that those guys are playing with fear all the time. Like, it's not just like, hey, I made it, life is good. You're like, I'm here. How long will that last?
Yeah, it's like you start out nervous, and it's like the more you work and are confident, the better it is.
Right.
But to get to that spot is a little tough.
Are there certain people who come in there and feel confident? Like Will always looked comfortable to me.
Yeah, well, a lot of the stand-ups are pretty comfortable because they're used to performing. And most of the other cast members are from groups, sketch groups like Second City, Groundlings, and UCB. And so, you kind of rely on other people.
Mm-hmm.
So you need that to click for you to be funny. Whereas a stand-up can just be like, hey, I've done this a million times. Here's the microphone. The problem there is that sometimes the stand-ups are great actors.
Yeah.
So to get both is great. I think it works out great.
It's always an interesting thing to me at SNL because some of the greatest comics and, actors have come out of that show, but also some of the greatest haven't worked out on that show. Like people that are really great went to SNL and just hit the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really tough. You got to play the game and you got to be pretty hardened. Like, for me, I think I did well because I was already working at Second City for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And I've been touring and I kind of knew how to make people laugh from different places. So, if you're a young person who doesn't have that experience and you come on the show, you really have to I always say feign confidence. If you don't have it, feign it.
Yeah.
And just, you got to look in that camera and just, attack it, pounce.
You're doing Fallon's show tonight, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to do anything from the old days?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I am going to try to make him laugh. I'm hoping that he just doesn't even get a question out. I've got some surprises. NBC's trying to ask me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I'm like, well, we'll wait and you'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very nervous. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
Well, the thing with you and Jimmy, I think people like this when they know people are actually buddies. You know what I mean? Like they're like when people actually like each other and they're doing stuff together.
Yeah, it was we were both hired at the same time and we were both put in the same office and we both like drinking. So it was a match made in heaven. And we'd come up with bits at night and then write them in the day and we hung out a lot and so we just learned each other's sense of humor and I kind of, you start learning, as all comics know, you start learning how to make individual people laugh. Like, it's a different bit for a different person. So we kind of are good at making each other laugh. Like we know that if we fuck with each other enough, that some good stuff will come out of it.
Was he concerned in the early days that he would come back or did you feel like he had more confidence about it?
I'm sure in the first season maybe it was a little bit, but he got on really well with impressions. Like he's so good at impressions that he was always kind of guaranteed a spot in that. Even if he couldn't get his own sketches out, at least he can be in other people's sketches with his impressions. So I think he knew he was safe.
Yeah.
But then there's a guy like Jeff Richards, a lovely, funny guy who's an amazing impressionist, and it just kind of didn't work out. The timing didn't work out.
Yeah, there's almost no way to bet on that, is it? There's no way to bet on whether that show's going to really work for you or not.
Yeah, because there's a lot of you gotta play a game, and if you're not that way, then it's hard. It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's certainly not fair, and you got to deal with that. And as long as the rules are there, and I know the rules, I'm okay. They're frustrating, but it's fun, and obviously when you do get a scene on, you direct it right, produce it, and it's you out to 10 million people, so that thrill. It makes it all worth it. There's nothing bad. Anything you go through, the final product is so much fun that it always outweighs the bad.
I think it's one of the last pure show business things that we have to, when you go there.
Yeah.
Well, you just went there this year, right?
Yeah, I just went this year and honestly it was something, I've wanted to do really my whole life. But I could not believe how surreal the experience was. Just walking down the hall, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like walking into a dream that you've had a million times. Because if you grow up loving that show, and then to be on the floor, while they're flipping the sets all around you. It's honestly,
it's a little circus you're watching.
Yeah.
So during the commercial breaks, they're running around, flipping sets, moving people, putting wigs on people. I often told my friends in the old days when they came to see the show, I'd say, hey, if the show's not funny, don't worry about it. It's still kind of fun to watch.
It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, you think the energy is so great that you're like, I'm here for the greatest night in the history.
I mean, I couldn't.
Saturday Night Live every time you're there.
It's so exciting. I still get goosebumps when the music starts and it's about to go live.
Absolutely. And and that was the thing I was not expecting is how, it was a great show, but I just kept focusing on Wally and I was just watching everybody move.
Wally and the cue cards, yet nervous.
I love Wally.
Yeah.
We all,
Yes.
everyone in
What a
here.
goofball.
Yeah. And a guy who just has, gets it. But I always say this, somewhere Wally's going to have the greatest SNL book of all time because people say things in front of him because, you know, they say good things and bad things. You know?
I mean, he's going to have his own Trump book. Just Trump alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Trump was using him as his personal cue card guy for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
he was
nuts.
He was on my podcast, The Horatio, if I may plug it.
Sure.
And Hooray. And he was talking about how Trump was like, once he finds someone he likes, no matter what, if it's like a guy makes a good cup of coffee, he's like, hire him.
He's my coffee guy.
He's my coffy guy, the best coffee guy in the world. And so the same thing with Wally. Like he wanted Wally to go to like everywhere with cue cards, and probably the White House, you know. But the surreal thing you were talking about, Milos, maybe, directed that movie Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey, and there was and they were doing the scenes when he was hosted SNL.
Yeah.
And so they just rebuilt all the sets from Andy Kaufman. He did Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
So Andy Kaufman did our show back in 76 or something. So they recreated all the sets from the 70s. And they have the blueprints, and so they're exact. So talk about surreal. You're walking in, and it's like the cheeseburger restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, there's the bees, like in the doctor's office, that one bee sketch where the bees are waiting to see if they're going to have a queen or a worker.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, that was amazing. That was like, that's where I was a little kid watching John Belushi and those guys. And so to see those sets was pretty amazing.
Well, that's the thing about SNL. Even if they would have canceled that show after 5 years, it still would be a legendary show that we're talking about. And then they went and added 35 years of more giant stars and great players and writers. And when anyone complains about it, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You know what I mean? It's like complaining about Monday Night Football. Like, it's amazing that we even have it.
Yeah. I really, and most people don't watch it, you know, they'll watch like the viral, not most people. I'm saying a lot of people that I see on Twitter complaining about it they're just like, why don't they do this? Why do this? It's like the show is still around because they're doing it the same way they did in 75.
Right.
You know, Lauren is the creature of habit. So like whatever they were doing then, they're doing now. And, you know, as we can see, there's 1,000 other places you can go see other types of comedy. But as far as like general good comedy that the country's all on board with, you know, people look to SNL to see what they're going to make of it.
Well, it's still one of the last places that something could, you know, really blow up. When Melissa came in and did that piece, and like the next day, everybody.
That was really,
it doesn't happen anywhere else.
It was really exciting because the show I saw was the second time she did Spicer, so that was like.
Oh, you were there for?
Yeah, so that was when
the podium
went motorized, and it was like immediately feeling like, oh, I'm here for a thing that's going to be a thing. You know what I mean? It felt.
Oh,
like
you knew right away, like everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see them motoring it out, right? You're like, uh-oh, some weird stuff's going to happen.
But it's just like the tremendous, dance that they're doing for bits to work, what they have to do off camera while they're like changing her shoes so she can like stick her leg up and have the high heel on her. And like watching them like crawl on the ground to do that joke, and you're like, God, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah, the carpenters that they have, everybody. And when you're watching, you're like, it's not going to be done in time. It's not. Yeah. It's like remember that scene in Broadcast News where like they're not going to have the tape. That's how you feel the whole time you're in that audience.
Yeah.
And then boom, it's ready.
Yeah, and the last half hour is even more hectic because they're figuring out what scenes are going to fit. And so you could be dressed as Lincoln ready to go, and it's like, no, they're not doing it. And so it's excitement until the last minute.
Well, Tina Fey is producing your show now, right? She's
producing and with Robert Carlock.
Now, where was she in that when you came in? She was
a writer.
Yeah.
She hadn't really acted yet on the show, and she was like. She was a writer, then became head writer. And, I worked with her mostly when she was the head writer.
And she was at SCTV, I guess, Second City right before.
She was. Yeah. And her husband was my musical director at Second City.
Yeah.
So I remember Tina came to watch the show, the last show we did at Second City, and I was like, I'm thinking of going to LA. And she's like, don't quit yet. don't quit, stay here. Because, we can send producers to watch you, but if you're not on a show, we don't have anything, we don't have anywhere for them to see you. So it was because of Tina that I stayed at Second City. And because Tina and Adam McKay, who was the head writer before her, they knew me, they told them, hey, go check this guy out. And so they came and saw me. And then they told me, like, yeah, we're going to have you audition, like, in 3 months. So I had 3 months to prepare, which was excellent. And when I got there, like the same thing, the first time I see 30 Rock, I'm auditioning on the home plate. Then they make it like that. They make you get right on home base. Yeah. And it's just a camera without a cameraman staring at you. And they go, there's a feed going to offices here in 30 Rock, and it's going to LA and it's going to Chicago, and people are going to watch. And so you're like, okay. And, yeah, and then they tell you that that they're not going to laugh, so don't worry. So then when they do laugh, you're like, oh, good, they're laughing. But I don't know where I was going with this story.
Well, just that entire. But it seems to me.
Oh, yeah. Tina being like, it was helpful, obviously knowing those guys. But when I started audition, right before my audition, Lauren turns to my friend Adam McKay, and he's like, "This is your friend, right?" Has to say, this guy better be good. And so I guess I was, and the rest is history.
But they wanted to see how you handle pressure. They set that up,
everybody,
not to be comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they do that, and and they got it's a very good barometer to see if people are going to freak out.
Yeah, and you, I'm trying to think, with your ethnic background, we had any other like Hispanic guys there before you? Were you?
I was the first.
Were you the first? Which is crazy when you think how long that is into the show.
Yeah.
But that leaves you open to play different characters than had been played before.
Yeah, well, at first I was very worried about stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like at Second City, I avoided stereotypes.
Yeah.
And so when I got there, one of the first sketches that was going to be recurring was Too Sexy.
Yeah.
Where I was basically in a big sombrero and a guitar going, no, too sexy, too sexy. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is exactly what I didn't want to do. And Catan comes up to me, he's like, it's a hit, man. We're going to do it again and again and again. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
It's a hit.
So I had to go talk to Lauren and take myself out of a sketch, which was probably the first time in the history of the show that's happened. And he was gracious enough to let me out of it. And because I knew that was going to be a hit, and then writers would just be like, well, let's do another Mexican thing with him.
Right.
Or another Latino thing. So I just wanted to establish other things first. And so I did. I did Ozzy, and I did, Aaron Neville, like other races. So, I was, the guy who can do anything. And then I became the guy that can do all the Middle Eastern guys. Yeah. I've got a great face to do all sorts of ethnicities.
Yeah. But that's what, that's the thing about comedy is you also... Well, it's like being a pitcher. If you got a fastball, you go to the fastball. If you got a breaking ball, use it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But don't force something that you don't have.
Yeah. I got to say, my slider is probably singing. I sang a lot when it was a dry week. I'm like, all right, let's write a fun song. Yeah. And my fastball, I guess, is just being an asshole.
But that is, it seems like your real break was getting in Second City because that got you the connections and people be able to see you,
Yeah, the people I met in that time, it was an amazing fortune for me. It was great luck.
Yeah.
I worked with, the UCB guys. I started the UCB with the UCB guys and Adam McKay and all those guys. And, the talent, just so much talent. Scott Adsit, who was on 30 Rock, all these people were in this circle. And, I was pretty confident that I can do the show. The thing I was worried about was is it this going to be, I like doing weird stuff. Are they going to be turned off by weird stuff?
Right.
But, we got there.
I do
slowly.
I do like that you would go to that weird dark place. Like, oh, are we going to get out of this? You know what I mean? Take it really deep. Yeah.
I did the sketch where I was talking about this on I did a sketch where, an old pharmacist, white guy.
Oh, yeah.
So I played this old pharmacist white guy who stayed in the neighborhood that's now changed.
Yeah.
And so he explains in the beginning, it's I think the third line of the sketch, he's like, I got shot in the back during a robbery. I can't feel anything below my waist, but I got a tongue like a Gila monster. And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. So right off the bat, within 5 minutes, the guy's been shot in the back, he's paralyzed, and he likes to eat pussy. That's the whole scene right there.
Hey, the next big book does have to be on UCB. Talk about something that changed, like television and movies, right? The people that have come out of that. Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty great. You know, like the theater here in New York was such a great thing for me because like while I was having frustration on SNL not being in a sketch or something, I would be able to perform Sundays. And, you know, it's always been about just the quality of work there. And if you did something hacky or dumb, you were made fun of or something, you know, so you had to kind of be funny. And if you're going to be silly and weird, that has to be a different way. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of judgment going on. A lot of judgment, but that judgment kind of makes the product better.
Right.
I realize now that UCB is a huge thing and it's an accredited school and, you know, people have their complaints about it. But certainly as far as taste, I have to say it's probably the best.
Yeah. Phenomenal people have come out of there. Hey, so great to see you and best of luck with good news, man.
Thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Plug that out first, would you, Chris?
Great news. There's Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on NBC, and Horatio will be appearing tonight on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And the Horatio with Horatio podcast is available on Earwolf.
Thank you so much. It's not Wolf, but
that's wrong information. On iTunes.
It goes on a little long with you. Just turn it the hell off. Oh, those are the pads, huh?
Paddles are in. Bennington barometer, A and B paddles.
It's exciting.
I didn't think we were going to start expensing this.
That came out of Vito's pocket.
I understand we're going to get some buglet necklaces, too.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I heard from Carissa yesterday, and she wants to send over something, so I'm very excited because I love her jewelry.
I wish you could hand deliver them. I wish they were talking about trading producers. I'd trade Chris right now.
Really, for Carissa?
Well, it's because of your health problems.
I don't have any health problems.
You just told us that you're so hot in this room, and we've got it like an ice box.
It's so cold in here.
I had a rough night last night. All right.
What were you doing?
I went on a date. I went on a date last night.
Okay, by the way.
That should be rough.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Why? When you say you went on a first date.
Yeah.
That should be a nice thing. Why would you have a rough first date?
I ended up drinking more than I thought I would.
Why
are nerves?
I don't know. I don't think it's not nerves at this point. It's just now like I was having a good time with the young lady, and I was just slamming him back.
You know that no one believes you.
Well, I don't.
I'll say this: me and Gail believe you.
I believe you.
It's the listeners that don't, and I mean overwhelmingly don't believe you're on these dates.
They're wrong.
Can you get some pictures?
You want me to take a picture of you on a date? Yeah, I'll take a picture of myself on a date.
Kissing on a date.
Kissing on a
date? Are you going to redate this girl?
I believe I'll see this girl again, yes.
Did anything happen last night?
I ended up going back to her place, but I got hit with the whiskey dick.
Oh my God, you will not be seeing her again.
But no. I did pleasure her, though, just orally.
Okay, that's too much.
And then no shower this morning.
No shower, no.
It smells like fucking...
that's what that is.
And then
I'm using this paddle.
I got my hands caught in a fucking cab door.
I don't care about that.
It's fucking terrible.
You should put your dick in the cab door and just kept slamming it. Now, have you had that whiskey dick problem before?
It's happened here and there, but first for the Tinder dating in this new phase of my life.
And what was her reaction to your whiskey dick?
She was like, it happens. I was like, thanks for understanding. It does happen.
Dude, I drank whiskey for years, never had a fucking problem with it.
Dude, why are you getting wasted on a first date?
But
even so, let's just say you just have a drink to just chill yourself out. I'm not saying you should, but
you can't say that to an alcoholic. He's an alcoholic.
But it's such a terrible first impression, and now you've been whiskey dick.
Well, first of all, guess what? He's going to also have a terrible 10th impression, terrible 20th impression.
Oh, those are the worst impressions.
Terrible
As the more it goes on?
Yeah.
And then... So you slammed your hand in a cab door while you were with her?
She had to get up early and go to some other part of Brooklyn. So I was like,
where the cocks are hard.
And I'm holding the door for her, and my window was open. So I'm my hand is hooked under the door in the window, and the fucking guy pulls the window up and is crushing my fucking two fingers.
Oh, look at him! Oh,
and one of them starts fucking bleeding. It's dried now because it was fucking like 7:30 in the morning. And I start screaming, "Motherfucker! What the fuck are you doing? Put the fucking window down!" He's like, "What was a mistake?"
Let me see your other two fingers. Let's see your fingers from the other hand. Yeah, they both look bad.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it doesn't matter what it is. I mean,
It's just
you're,
that one's slightly bloodier.
you thought-
but
yeah.
This one's just slightly
You
bloody.
just have a mangled hand.
Yeah, it was fucking terrible.
Now, did you react that way in front of her,
In front of her,
screaming?
yes.
So
And
you
she got out
whiskey dick,
laughing.
then you
She got out
screamed at the
laughing.
Can I
camera.
tell you something? Nothing is worse than whiskey dick. He could have shot a fucking kid on the street and be like, he couldn't even get a hard on from me. Am I ugly?
No.
Did you say to her, you must be ugly?
No, I didn't.
Why would you say that to her, dude?
I didn't say that.
You're not going to see this girl again. Is that going to happen?
She's not going to see him again. That's a fucking bet.
All right, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Why would someone go round to whiskey dick?
Maybe Whiskey Dick won't drink so much whiskey next time.
You call yourself whiskey dick?
No, I don't. I just right now.
You want us to put out whiskey dicks? Thanks with you. By the way, so Horatio Sands, he's got a TV show. So Chris, everybody tells me, watch it. He's fanning himself like a paddle, like a large black woman down south.
You declare.
So I'm like, it's not on demand. Well, it's on demand at my house. Well, are you on a different thing? Blah, blah, blah. I've been fucking putting in good news. I even said good news to him, and then it's great news. So I said good news, and then Chris ends it. I said, plug this out. So Chris says great news, and I'm like, fuck, I've been doing that wrong. And then Chris said, on Earwolf. And then I just hear him go, it's not on Earwolf. I'm like, oh, thank God, Chris, you fucking throwing your sword for me.
Don't pay attention. Just pay
There's
attention to
no
my
such
fuck up.
thing as great news. It's good news.
They're calling it great news.
But you don't understand what I'm saying. The saying is not great news.
It's good news
the
and
saying
bad
is
news.
good news and bad news. It's not great news and horrible news. They fucking named their show the wrong thing. All right. So we got this GPS Ireland coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure Connor hears this story, okay? Bring Connor down here so he can hear it. So we'll be going over the set list, what we want to do. And we always have this thing, do we put the person's hit song or something deeper? If we do somebody's hit song, then we do deeper in the next person. Oh, we have our own.
Yeah.
No one else cares but
It's a
us.
system.
It's a fucking system that is kind of half-assed, but we do it. By the way, you said you weren't going to smoke.
I know.
on Saturday
I
morning.
just,
Yeah, let me just do it for a second because I feel terrible right now. So we get to Van Morrison. Do you remember what song I said to you?
When we were talking about which one we want to do?
Yeah.
Clean
And
windows.
Well, I said there's a song, Cypress Avenue. It's also done fucking live. I go, I think it's the best thing in the world. But it's off Astro Weeks. Not everybody knows it. We don't know. You know, obviously you want to do some of his bigger songs, but maybe whatever. But you never hear this song, Cypress Avenue. We go over to Amy Schumer's movie 5 minutes later, me and Gail. It's Cypress Avenue is on the soundtrack.
Holy shit.
Is this a brand new movie?
Yes,
Yeah, this is-
brand new movie.
Sounds like a good movie.
Well, that part of it we don't even need to judge.
That's crazy.
I'm just saying this.
how bizarre is that?
That's
After
crazy.
he had just brought it up.
So,
And that's not like a song that is like typically
No,
here in
it's-
movies. It's like,
no, it's off of his least picked up, album, even though critically everyone loves it. I brought this, and I'm like, why do we have both?
Don't know.
So anyway, the faction adds Nick DiPaolo. Everybody's all excited about it. And we've got Nick right here right now. Nick, how are you, buddy?
What's going on, kid?
Well, I got nervous when I heard you were at the doctor's. What happened?
My dick's dripping like a leaky pipe. I don't know. No, I have a little. I don't know. I got a little fungus on my arm. I don't know what it's from.
Oh, Jesus.
I got some fat girl in a headlock about a month ago. I think it was something in her shampoo triggered some type of.
From a headlock injury. So you're going legit, Nick. You're going legit.
Yeah, I'm going legit. I guess. I mean, I can't wait. You guys just mentioned Faction. You know more about it than I do.
Yes, you're going to be on Faction right after Opie. And 6 to 8 every night is the way that I understand it. And it'll be fantastic.
I can't wait.
Now, is this the same as your podcast has been, or are you going to do the podcast separately? How are you going to do that?
I think we're going to take like an hour of the 2 hours I'm doing and make it my podcast. But it'll still be on connectpal.com, and Sirius was nice enough to let me do that. So.
And you're still going to be so you'll be an hour live on Sirius, right?
2.
2 hours. So both hours will be live, and you're going to come down here and do it out of the studio, or are you still doing it out of your house?
A little of both. You know, when I have guests, I'll come in studio, and you know, maybe I'll do it in studio all the time. You remember, I ain't married, so I enjoy getting into the city.
Yeah, and I know you're always happy when you drive into the city. It's always a happy time for you.
Oh, God, I went through that last night. I almost started crying as an adult male. I've been living in Westchester for almost, 17 years. I've never entered Manhattan over the Williamsburg Bridge. That's how fucked up it was. I was seeing part of the Bronx and Brooklyn that I've never, but, you know. And, you know, I hate I'm trying to sing along to Neil Diamond, and the Ways woman keeps cutting me off.
You know, it is true that every once in a while you'll make a wrong fucking turn. Like I was in Queens not too long ago, and I just felt like I was in a horrible movie. And I'm a block away from where I want to be, and all I feel is death coming down.
Hey, let me ask you, the original reason, I didn't hear your discussion when I suggested Meatloaf is a great voice.
We all agreed, but here's the thing that worked against Meatloaf. When Jim Steinman gave those songs to those girls, they also had hits. Like whoever he handed those songs out to. And he had like a shockingly great voice, but he also lost it very early in his career. Like that voice, he blew it out from, you know, screaming or whatever.
Same thing happened to B. Arthur.
By the way, B. Arthur will always be a reference point as long as Nick DiPaolo is alive. You love those Golden Girls more than you say.
Well, I told you, I ran into B. Arthur and we're doing the Pam Anderson role. She was taking a piss at the urinal next to me. And I said, you have something in your goatee. No, but I love the Golden Girls.
Well, I am so glad that you're working here now. We had already talked about wanting to do more things together. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, let's buddy up and figure it out how we can do this. And you're sincerely one of the most unique talents out there, buddy. You just fucking no one else. No, you couldn't even steal material from Nick because it's so absolutely his.
Well, that's quite a compliment, man. The feeling's mutual, Ron. I can't believe how good you are at stand. I see you at the stand go on after me. I'm like, oh, he's going to struggle here. Yeah, 3 seconds into it, you get 2 applause breaks. Everybody knows you're a radio guy, a tremendous radio guy, and funny as hell. And the feeling's mutual, really. I don't mean to blow you over the air here.
No, that's okay. You blew me a little bit. But we're going to figure out more things to do together, buddy, and I'm very happy that you're coming here. And anything that you need, all right, I'll show you, you know, where the parking spots are, where you can get a locker for yourself. It's, pretzels. You know, yeah. Free pretzels.
Thanks.
All right, Nick, talk to you soon.
See you guys.
So that's Nick DiPaolo, and it's coming to Faction Talk.
Faction Talk, May 15th.
May 15th. Now, is he under Wiki, or is it, how's that work?
I think he's
I can't tell anymore. We have such odd structures.
Yeah. I don't know who anyone reports to these days.
Some people, yeah, it just, I don't know how we do it. But I had an idea of a one-time special we could go to do on one of the comedy channels. And they're like, go to Disco Dan, right? I got along with Disco Dan so much, I'm like, you should be involved in more of these projects that we do. And this one, I'm going, here's what I wanted to do with it. You know, it's a simple, fun idea, you know, countdown idea. And he goes, I'll do it. You don't even need Chris on this.
Really?
And I go, he goes, yes. I'll do the whole goddamn thing.
Wow.
And I'm like, we got to get you involved in more projects. He goes, I don't want to be standing around like Vito, afraid to fucking tell Chris it's time to move on.
You said that about me?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talking about you, Vito.
I don't like that.
They're calling you short timer.
Nick DePaul just texted me that too. He's not even here yet.
What's that?
Short timer. He just said short timer, Vito.
Stop pushing the attention away from yourself.
It is.
He does that.
Yeah.
In a very strange way.
God forbid.
It never
You know
works
what I mean?
so.
God forbid. We got stuff to do tonight, right? We're doing GPS tonight.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yes.
record something else tonight. I guess it's true. I am the hardest working man in show business, you know?
That's what they say.
You know who said that to me?
Who's that?
I actually heard that from James Brown, So Brave Number One.
He called you the hardest working man in
Well,
show
he
business.
called me the Hardy.
He called you the Hardy Boys, did he?
Yeah. He was drunk, though, and high on angel dust that I sold him. I don't know why people are always so anti-angel dust. I guess it's because people jump off buildings. But
Yeah.
You take that out of it. I knew well, I shouldn't even fucking say it, but this fucking person who I knew, like, not intimately. And then I heard, like, years later. Oh, you didn't hear about him? He had been fucking high on dust. He fucking stabbed his chick a bunch of times, right? Like one of those ridiculous amount of fucking times. And then he put a hose in one of the fucking holes. And I hear that story. He was a quiet guy. He was like Vito size, like a big, stupid fucking Italian guy like Vito. And I heard that story and I'm like, oh, it's odd. I smoked dust with that fucking guy a lot. But it didn't happen to me.
Oh my God.
Dodged one.
What was the hose for?
Huh? I think it was to wash the devilness out of her or something, probably. I didn't ask questions.
Makes sense.
When people I don't know, for some reason that you're fucking smoking dust, you start to get in the back of your head like, oh, the devil's around here right now. Like you'll actually start to think that the devil's real. One time, we're all down the fucking beach for like a weekend or something. And we're in this friend of mine had like a fucking trailer, right? All right, go ahead. Call me names. It's a fucking place for people to enjoy the weekend. It's a trailer. So I think there was 4 buddies. 2 of those guys out, and we were high as fucking kites. So 2 of them went out to get fucking beer. And me and this other guy, we sat there, we enjoyed another fucking thing of dust. I forget I was doing, listening to some music. I look over. This is like fucking 10 minutes in. And I fucking I look over. He has this fucking butcher knife, right? And he's kind of smiling at it. And he had it kind of lined up with me. And this is a guy I know since I was a kid. He's just fucking standing there with a fucking butcher knife. I go like this. Where the fuck is my keys? I get over, I fucking grab a steak knife, and I go, hey, I'm gonna take a fucking shower. I go in the bathroom, lock the door, turn the shower on, and stand there with a fucking steak knife.
Holy shit.
I thought he was gonna have to fucking put one in his chest. We never even spoke a word to each other. This wasn't like we were having a fight or anything. That's what that dust does to you.
It's
like
wild.
my thing seemed like it was a smart idea.
Yeah. I mean, compared to his, yeah, of course it does.
I felt like, wait till he comes in to stab me in the shower. He's gonna get a fucking steak knife in his neck.
Gonna get him.
Hey, what are we doing here, Chris?
Mr. Paul Feig is about to come in the studio.
World famous director and producer?
Of course. It's for Snatched. He's a producer. Comes out in theaters everywhere this Friday, May 12th, and on Twitter, it's at Paul Feig.
Wait, this Friday is May 12th?
Next Friday is May 12th. Next
Thank
Friday,
you.
excuse me.
Thank you. All right, let's bring in Paul Feig. Paul Feig in studio with us. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Ron. How are you? Should I put on my headphones?
It's up to you. I don't tend to wear them because I got rock and roll ears.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like your dulcet tones. Good to see you, Gail.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having
Always
me
great
in.
to have you in.
This is my favorite place in
You
the
know,
world.
every time I see you in a radio station, I always think, oh no, not those mop tops. It's seriously one of my favorite radio scenes ever.
Yes, I'm very proud of that. Very proud of that. I still keep up with Mr. Hanks, too.
Oh yeah. Well, do you know who the comic Comedy Jam is. This is a band, and they bring out comedians, and comedians do songs, and it's a really fun show they do in L.A.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw something from that. It was super funny.
And they recently brought out the Wonders. The guys who played the Wonders came out and did a song with them, and it was amazing.
Oh, how fun! I think it's like, isn't it like the 20-year anniversary or something?
Yeah,
of the movie?
something like that. Yeah,
Oh,
and that's a movie. That's a comedy that holds up.
That is one of the most kind of, I would say it's underrated because I think people love it now, but it was so kind of didn't get its due in its day.
Yeah.
All anybody ever complained about, like, oh, if I have to hear that song one more time, it's like, A, I love that song. I've heard it a million times, and B, it's such a charming movie.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I never get sick of that song.
No, it's weird how many times you hear it. I don't know.
It's
You're
the greatest song.
You've just produced Snatch, which Gail and I got to see the other day.
Oh, good.
Laughed all the way through it.
Oh, good, yeah.
Really, really thought it was funny. It was that great kind of comedy that has, all these laughs, but then there's also 4 or 5 scenes that are just crazy laughters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want
our water cooler scenes. Exactly.
Right.
That's right.
I won't give any of them away, but there was stuff that we were doing a thing where you're just hitting each other.
We went for it.
Yeah.
And crazy funny, and then a really great supporting cast. There's so many
amazing
characters throughout that get to have their moment in the sun that it's just fantastic.
It's a deep bench on that one, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I mean, between Wanda Sykes and oh my God, Ike just walks away with every scene.
Yeah.
And Bashir, Ike and Bashir together, that's the new comedy duo as far as I'm concerned.
That's the funny thing about it is, like, I was actually even thinking some of this stuff could move on. Mm-hmm. But when you're producing, because producer is always like a confusing term because everybody does it differently.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do when you're producing it?
When I produce, I want to make sure that the material is great, that we get it cast great, that it gets made great, but then that I'm also protecting the filmmaker and the actors.
Yeah.
And so, the genesis of this was Katie Dippold wrote it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, who's amazing. And it was right after I did Spy, and she had pitched this idea, and we were like, oh my God, let's do it. And I thought I was going to direct it. But then when I got involved in Ghostbusters, we were going, all encompassing, and then the studio wanted to go into production earlier on the film, which was great. So we got Jonathan Levine came on to do it, who I love, and I feel we have a very similar ethos on how we do comedy and all. And then I was just like, I just want to protect this, and so but Jonathan came in, and then Amy and her sister Kim, came in, and they did some punching up on it and tailoring it for Amy's voice. But then Katie was there the whole time on production, and I didn't even get to go onto the set because I was so buried in Ghostbusters. But I was watching the dailies every day, and they were doing such a great job that every once in a while I go, like, hey, maybe try this, but I just stepped away, and my producing partner, Jessie Henderson, was there the whole time, and she shepherded it. And then when we got into post, then it was just, there's so many different cuts and test screenings we do and all that, and that's where I really get a weigh in on stuff. So I just guided it, but I never want to be one of those producers that just drives the director crazy. I never want the director to be like, oh God, he's here. I like the idea of like, I'm here as to help. And, so we had a lot of fun.
But this all, for you, it started with Katie's script. That's what made it work. Yeah. And then you go out and get these great movie stars. How do you get Goldie Hawn? Because she doesn't do a lot of things anymore.
Well, I got to credit Amy for that. Because Amy came on board. It's funny. The script was so funny, but it was like a really challenging lead character because she's, she does some fairly unlikable things.
Yes.
It was like, wow, we really got to find who are we going to get that can do this? Amy read it, and then when she wanted to do it, it's like, of course, who other than Amy could pull this off.
Yeah.
But then Amy said, I really want Goldie Hawn to play my mom. And, obviously the legend, how could you not? But she had, met her she met her once on an airplane before Amy was famous, right before she was famous, and went up to her and said, we got to do a movie together. And it was like, okay, thanks, whoever you are. But then when they saw each other at the Glamour thing, at this Glamour event in London, when they already had the script, they talked about it, and that's where Goldie said she wanted to do it. So
Goldie, at her peak, was probably the biggest movie star in the world, and it was a long peak.
Yeah.
Went from the late 60s into the 80s, early 90s even, and then she was one of the few women that could put butts in the seats. Like people would show up for a Goldie movie.
Yeah,
By
and
the
she
way,
was producing.
I love that moment in the film where she's looking through old photos and you're seeing photos of Goldie.
Yeah.
I was like tearing up a little because she's such a beauty and I love her so much.
One of the first loves of my life.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of my biggest crushes. After I saw, I think it seems like Old Times and then then Foul Play. He's like, oh my God.
Yes, you were just crazy about her. But I'm going to do something soon with George Slatter that did Laugh-In, right?
Yeah,
and those things like Goldie in the 60s as a kid would get on, flub some lines on TV, and this is when like 30, 40 million people were watching the show, and America just fell in love with her.
Well, she has that laugh and that smile that it's just like there's no comparison to her. And that like...
Yeah. And whenever that book of pictures comes out in the movie, everyone in the audience, you always hear people go, oh, like, you get so happy.
Well, there's certain people that they feel like they're part of your life. You know what I mean? Like they almost, I remember when Carol Burnett and her crew came in to do the show, I felt like my aunt was here. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I knew her so well. And the way that she treated me, I even thought, oh shit, this must happen a lot to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It must happen a lot. Like, yeah, I know. Hey, honey, I'm back.
But that's the power of a great movie star, especially of a great comedy star.
Yeah.
Is that they're your best friend. You know, that's why Melissa gets that, Amy gets that now. You fall in love with them. And you have to, because that's their power. Is you just want to be with them.
It's, talking about Melissa, and I love the stuff that you guys have done together. But this latest thing that she's doing with SNL, just coming out and killing it overnight.
Crushing it.
Yeah.
It's the most cathartic use of comedy I've ever seen in my life, especially that very first one. Because we were all kind of reeling from the madness.
Yeah.
Just like, are we nuts? And then when she came, I was just like, it just hit everything so perfect. You just felt like the whole country going like, oh, like kind of breathed a sigh of relief of like, all right, we're okay.
I wonder if we're getting used to it now, though. Like,
we're getting worn down. I know. We're getting worn. But then they just keep upping it. So every time I think I've seen everything crazy, then
you got to admit it's an amazing TV show. It's on constantly at my house. What is he doing?
I know. It's oh God. As a creative, it's very hard. Like I have to really force myself away from it, or to just like not. I don't know, you don't want. If I keep them on too much, it just kind of crushes your brain. But the minute you walk away, 10 things happen.
Yes, it happens unbelievably fast.
And I feel like I need to stay in touch with like something's going to happen. Like somehow I can affect it somehow, which clearly I can't.
So here's another thing that you're able to do with comedy. You get the great script from Katie, but then do you let Amy and the other people work inside of that? Yeah, same.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. You always have to do that, and they have to make it their own. And it's funny because, Amy's great at improvising, but Goldie doesn't even particularly like to do it. But they find their rhythm, and, you get enough stuff that you have your alternate material.
Now, when you said punch up too, does that mean Amy takes a pass at the script or just an improv?
No, she and Kim went through the script and, kind of tailored it to their voice, and then Katie comes back in and does her stuff. And, they all work together, which is great. And Jonathan's in there, we're all kind of weighing in that way. So it always has to be a collaboration when it's comedy.
But does it get nervous spots like, oh my God, we're getting away from the original thing, or that's part of it?
If you do it right, it's never a free for all. Like it can't be. Maybe you do one take, do whatever you want, but you find it's almost impossible to kind of use that in the editing room. But also, a script is a very detailed blueprint that. If everything went wrong, you would have something great. But then all the fun lightning in a bottle moments come from the little augmentations that happen on the set.
Yeah. And you got to make sure that you're not freaked out by bad ideas. Like, go ahead, do your bad idea.
Totally.
And then we'll come back. Because that's when I'll be like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Oh yeah, totally. You know what? I've had so many times when I thought something was a terrible idea, and I'm like, all right, do it, and they do it, and I'm just like, oh God, why do we waste time doing that? I get in the editing room, and you go like, that actually works.
Yeah.
Because it was just so far off of what I had in my head, but I've learned over the years, like, what's in my head that's one way to do it, and there's a million other ways to do it too.
And it's also tough to catch subtlety sometimes in real life.
Yeah.
Even though that explodes on the screen like a look or whatever.
Oh, you'll find stuff like that.
Yeah, that's always crazy, like how in post or how editors have to have just tremendous timing and sense of humor, particularly for those little moments of reaction.
Yeah.
Think about how many laughs in comedy just comes from someone's deadpan reaction to something that's crazy.
No, you know who was always the one who we discovered tons of stuff we didn't realize we had? It's Rose Byrne.
Oh, yes.
She's so subtle.
Yeah.
That it's not, because you're on the set, you're looking at a million different things, and, even though you're focused on the monitors, and suddenly we're in the edit, and it's like, oh my God, look what she did there. And it's just a goldmine.
Well, you wouldn't even naturally think of her as funny, and then as Spy, she almost steals the movie. You know what I mean? Like she is so good in that movie. By the way, I never miss watching that movie anytime that it pops up, and it just gets stronger for me. But you've now put together this resume. You know what I mean? Where it's almost like if somebody is in a great band, it's like, oh, what a great album. But when there starts to be, a lot of them, you're like, oh, this is important, isn't it? This is, So that's that point that you are now.
Well, thanks. I'm honored to get to do what I do. And the only thing that, that really drives you is the fear of when they're going to not let you do it anymore. So it keeps you good. It makes sure that you're really hard on this stuff.
What do you got planned next? Are you still...
putting something together right now that is still a little top secret, but hopefully be in production this summer. We're just fleshing it out right now.
Are you staying with the woman thing?
I love all the great women that I love to work with, and I like playing with genres. So this one is a little more in the thriller genre, which I'm excited about because that's what's fun. It's like, how do we get comedy into it, but then we still keep it real, real stakes and real dramatic undertones. So it'll be fun.
Well, there was a couple of moments in Snatched where I'm like, oh, that's a little scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was fun. It's fun to get that, and it's also fun to get the emotion in there. And and Amy has that little speech towards the end when she, finds. I don't want to give it away, but I get really choked up. Like, she's so good, and just like when Goldie kind of goes off on her in the middle of the jungle, you're like, oh God, it just kind of tears your heart out. And
there is something, the mother and daughter component. I don't even think men can understand that because, we're not that way with our dads.
Right.
Yeah, father and son is such a different dynamic.
Yeah.
My father will say to me, you don't call enough. And then I say to my son, you don't call enough. That's the one connection. But then mothers and daughters will talk to each other. But even, families are always held together, I think, by the women. Like my sister will call and go, don't forget, this thing is coming up. I'm like, I remembered, but it's a lie. You know what I mean? And she knows it.
How dare you remind me of something I forgot.
She knows it and I know it. But I think that they found that dynamic in this film.
Yeah, and I agree because if you look, there's not a lot of mother-daughter relationship movies. And what I like about this, even though they are kind of sniping at each other through it, it's never like a cat fight or anything. There's that really nice moment when they first get to Ecuador and they're around the pool and they see the older guy with the young woman and Goldie makes a joke about it and Amy laughs with her. Yeah. And you're like, to me, that's such an important moment because it's not just like, oh, shut up, Mom, you're such an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, they love each other. They're just, out of touch a little bit.
And as you get older, you start to realize how much you have in common with your mother, your sense of humor, the way you handle things.
Yeah.
And it really, you're like, oh, this thing that could be tense when you were younger, suddenly you're like, oh, we're kind of the same person.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's what's nice about this movie. It's really about the moment when a child discovers that her parent is actually a real person.
Right. Yeah. And while we're saying that, there's hilarious jokes, and some of them that are, I couldn't even begin to go with the fact that when I was younger, I would never expected women to be doing this kind of comedy. There is and I was even thinking, I'm like, well, it's at certain points we used to call that, like a woman's comedy when it would be women together. But this is just comedy. Like, you could have fixed this script to put Seth Rogen in this movie with his mom. You know what I mean? So Amy is on that same kind of level of, I've got to go out, deliver the jokes, hammer it. She's very comfortable. It's very much in her space.
Yeah.
But there's tons of jokes in this movie.
No, it's very funny, and she goes for it, as we would expect her to.
And like we said, and it always happens with all the great comedies, that there are people, the character actors, that come in and play a scene or two and then steal those scenes. It's always such a relief that it keeps the main characters going.
Yeah, well, even looking like Al Madrigal shows up, in the embassy, and hilarious.
Yeah.
But that's again, there's always on all my movies, and why waste 1 second of film on somebody who's not great?
Right.
And what I love is when we got a part, like there's one line. I mean, I've done it where there's no lines. You go, just come join us. Well, something will happen. And usually those are the funniest things. Then as I'm watching the movie, you're going like, ooh, we didn't even write that. You're like, that's great. That just happened, and you're like, that's the fun of doing comedy. And that's what it should be. That's why I don't, the whole thing of like being just such a control freak, and, don't deviate from my words. It's like, we're not Shakespeare.
But your job becomes like, let me create this atmosphere where comedy can take place.
Very much so.
And we all know that there are comedy clubs that are better than other comedy clubs. No one designed it that way. They just turn out that way. Mm-hmm. So you have to find that wherever you go. How do I make this place a place that works?
Yeah. The fish stinks from the head down. It depends what, like on the club scene. It's like, did they like a little anarchy in their club, or did they does it have to be regimented? Does everything have to be so perfect? And comedy can't be perfect. Comedy, it has to be kind of loose. Not even loose isn't even the right word. It just has to be anarchistic in a weird way.
Yeah, but you have to create a place where here's where anarchy takes place.
Yeah, and it's safe to hear. Yeah, because honestly, that's the thing. Yeah, because like the sets, like it has to be a place where they don't feel they're going to get slapped down or judged if they do something that we in the moment go like, that wasn't funny.
Yeah,
because again, we don't know. Maybe it is funny.
You have talked a lot about TV that you like, but what was the movies when you were a kid? What were the comedy movies for you?
Oh gosh, I mean, the one that blew my mind that I saw when it really early was Take the Money and Run.
Right.
My cousin took me to see that like opening weekend. I was 8 or 9 or something, and that was where, because I watched like Marx Brothers movies, which blew my mind, and Laurel and Hardy and all that kind of thing, and Three Stooges, but there's something about that movie because like it was like a real looking guy, but had this weird confidence. The comedy was absurd, and yet it was super smart. And once something exists, you go like, oh yeah, whatever. Like you never forget like the first time you see or hear something that hasn't happened before.
Right.
And that's what it was. I just remember kind of rocking back in my seat like, wow, you can do this. And then when I find out, and he wrote it too and he directed it, I never kind of recovered from that.
It's, your brother when he was little, reminded me back of it because once, Woody started to make into his smarter kind of comedies like From Annie Hall on, I'd forgotten that I loved all those early movies. He could Take the Money and Run and brought up the scene about the marching band with the thing. And I was just like, I got to go back and watch this right now.
Brilliant. And the movie completely holds up. I just rewatched it recently, and it's so funny. But then all those early ones. I mean, Love and Death is
unbelievable.
So smart. Working on that level of just super smart but super dumb at the same time, and like that's I personally love high-low comedy. I mean, I always use that term when we're putting our movies together because like let's have the crazy scene where some in Snatch, the one with wouldn't give it away exactly, but then at the same time, but then you want to have the dramatic moments, and the biggest job is just tonally making sure they fuse where you're not going like we're crazy now because I find a lot of comedies do that.
We have to have a trust of the audience, right? If you look at Love and Death, these people that've seen this have read or they've watched movies before. Life of Brian was always the same way to me. That you had to go, okay, I'm sophisticated enough. I put this together without getting offended. I realize it's not, you know what I mean? And I know what, and then you're like, oh, this silliness is so smart. You know, I remember the first time I saw The Producers, I'm like, Zero Mostel, the only funny person who's ever lived. That's how funny I found that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, was I wrong about everything else in my life? And I thought having the thin hair that was up in the air was maybe as good as life could get.
God, it's so funny. It's so good.
But when you look at Mel Brooks now and you see that he's still doing stuff and still funny, I don't know if there's another art form that you can look at and say you don't lose the fastball if you take care of it.
Yeah. But because I've spent my whole life studying kind of who makes it and who doesn't, who has that longevity or not. And it's really when they listen to people around them or they change with the times.
Right.
I mean, the perfect example is Joan.
Yes.
Who I wish to God was still around because she never lost it at all, never lost that spark.
Yeah.
The relevance.
Yeah.
And she'd change, and you watch how her comedy moved. But that's what you have to do. It's when you get sedentary and you're like, don't tell me what's funny, I know, then you just go down the toilet.
I honestly believe this, that in the last 2 years of her life, Joan Rivers was doing the best comedy
I
of her
100%
life.
agree.
Yeah. And that's
agree.
Superstar in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yep.
Didn't even remind you. She was just doing something different,
That's I think the biggest tragedy in the comedy world is the fact that Joan went before her time.
Yes.
Because she, like you said, I mean, she was killing it. Killing it. Now, I wish I could hear what she has to say about Trump and this whole administration.
Well, she actually knew him very well and had done the show. Mm-hmm. So some of the stuff we probably wouldn't have liked because she was such a contrarian.
I wonder if she could have even.
But she would have definitely made you laugh about it and think about it differently.
Yeah.
I would. I wish that you and Joan would have found, something to have done.
And she wanted to work with me because friends of mine did a show with her, and she was like, "Please tell Paul I want to, work together." And and then she was gone, and I would have given anything.
Dude, she loved acting too, and that was her one regret that she never felt like she got that chance to show that off.
Yeah.
But you, I tell you all the time, you found a thing that nobody even knew was missing in comedy. You came up with something, and you're keeping it going with Snatched. And congratulations to everybody in that cast, Amy and Goldie. It's one thing I thought though is, I wonder if Kate's going, why wouldn't Goldie have done a movie with me? You know what I mean? Like, I look just like her.
I can play your daughter.
Seemed like it would have made sense. So great to see you again.
You too, Ron.
And I'll see you next time coming through.
You got it. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Gail.
Our buddy Paul Feig just here. Love him.
He's so cool.
I know.
And he always looks so great. I know we always bring it up, but he's the best dresser.
Yeah. He's got the budget for it, that's for sure. He's got the budget for it. I saw him on an Esquire show that he was just going to special places to eat oysters, and then he's going to special places to have the perfect martini made. He's always thinking about that. Like, where can I get the perfect belt? I don't think Chris has ever thought about the perfect belt.
JCPenney? Is that where I would order it from?
No. What do you think to yourself? When I don't always eat tuna fish. But when I do, it's always Starkist.
You still have your big bag of tuna still here?
Yes, my giant bag of chunk light tuna is in the office.
Can you take a picture with the chunk light tuna? Carla's requested. She sent us the shirt. She sent you the chunk light. Will you take a picture?
What am I? Well, do I have to do everything because you gave me a giant bag of tuna?
Yes, it was a very nice gift. I'm asking you to take a picture.
I'm not Tuna Man.
Are you worried that they're going to fucking Photoshop
Of course they're going to Photoshop weird shit. I've already been Photoshopped because of the fucking beach picture.
Is it like the whale and the tuna connection? Is that what you're concerned?
I just gave him one.
What is your favorite tuna fish?
Starkist.
That's sorry, Charlie?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm the other way. I'm the green one with the mermaid.
Chicken of the sea.
Remember what's her name thought that was chicken?
Oh, yeah. Jessica Simpson thought it was chicken.
Yeah, you eat the wrong kind.
No, Starkist is the best.
No, I don't think so. Starkist is too blocky. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly think that there's pieces of stuff.
You also strike me as a solid white albacore kind of guy. You know what I mean? This guy's definitely chunk light.
I'm going to that pink.
Pink is my
favorite tuna.
Go get a picture with it right now.
I can't. I'm not going to do it.
Vito, go get the tuna and put the shirt on. Put the shirt on in the tuna. The Bennington shirt.
Look, I talk about my whiskey dick. I put other pictures of me, and I was getting goddamn fucking buttons about to fly off.
Can we just say one thing?
That's your problem, dude.
You do not give too much. I mean, there's plenty of things that you could argue would be right, but the fact that you say you give too much, no.
100% no.
Yeah.
I'm a giver. That's me.
First
That's
of
my
all,
personality.
The thing about you is you never plan any of your entertaining. You think it's serious, like your whiskey dick. You're like, oh, this is something that happened, and then we laugh.
Yeah.
You couldn't write a joke that would make us laugh as hard as the way of you just living your life.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You shouldn't.
Oh. And I don't know if I
Jay
trust.
Bird said this.
Okay.
I think I know why Chris feels the need to drink a lot on these dates.
Interesting.
Why is that?
It's because he's an alcoholic.
Do you think that might have something to do with it, Chris?
Ding. He's gone something.
Sure, he came in like a bandit. I mean,
fucking chill. Yeah, put your shirt on. You can put it on over your shirt. We don't have to see your titties.
Can't Vito just put it on? Won't make no difference.
No.
Everyone says he looks like me anyway.
Well, that is kind of true, though, but good for Rorschach today.
Okay, all right. You know what?
Rorschach wishes he could put on that shirt today, you prick.
I'm going to do it for Rorschach. This is for Shaq.
We never called him Shaq in all those years, you idiot. Never once.
Is that one your shirt?
Yeah, this is my shirt.
How's he gonna get in?
The 3X. You guys are assholes.
That's the 3X?
Yeah, I got the 2X.
I love it.
Hold on.
Oh, that actually looks really great. I like it with the collar out.
Yeah. If you just pull the undershirt down, I'm just trying to help you out.
No, don't ever help him. The Queen says this. I like how Chris says, I drank more than I thought I would.
I didn't plan on it.
What is that, 2X?
This is 3.
3X. Looks good on you.
Thanks, Ron.
What's with the body language? He's not a natural. He's not a natural
So
person.
you should have got the one of him busting up. That was the cute one.
Come on, just take a few. I mean, he's so weird.
Should I put it in different places like the trunk light?
Pick a flattering one, guys.
We can't when you make the funny face.
Don't worry, they'll Photoshop it into whatever they wish.
Yeah. Oh, that looks good.
God, he's so strange. I mean, he just.
That's it. Like,
why are you going lower and lower? He's
like you're leaning down on the cock. That's it. On that cock. That's
okay,
it.
get video of that.
Oh, God. See, take those pictures when he's smiling away. That's when he's adorable.
Yeah,
When
he
he's
does have.
laughing.
He has a really nice smile. Too blurry.
Why are you so blurry? I swear to God, Chris's face doesn't look like his face in pictures. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he looks so much more like Dave Grohl in that picture. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, there's something captured by you in pictures that I don't see every day.
Face? God, he's a peculiar fella. He really is.
That's it. Make it look like you're fucking a tuna. That's
Like
just
you
do
love
one
it.
for us.
Because you love tuna. Don't
So
worry.
turn
This one-
sideways.
yeah, so
but
we
then
can
turn your body so that we can see
cheat
the-
out, as they
yeah,
call it
cheat out.
in the biz.
Yeah, cheat. No. Yeah.
Like this?
No.
Have you ever made a sex tape before?
Put the
Cheat out.
fucking- Yeah, cheat out. Put the hand down here like I'm on a little T spot.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're not.
What is this? Is this what you're giving these Tinder girls?
Keep going.
What are you doing? Video?
Do a little video.
But
Just do a quick
crazy
vid.
happy ways happening.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
That's
crazy
too much.
happy.
Nobody has that much fun.
Yeah, kind of, I guess. I'll take it.
Which was a bandana day. I thought we would end a lot.
Why didn't you have a bandana?
Because I forgot it yesterday, and I didn't go home last night.
What'd you do? Wrap it around your whiskey dick when you found out
You cut
it
out
wouldn't work?
circulation.
Well, this help.
He's like, I can use this to prop the thing up.
He used his bandana as a condom and it just fucking soaked up some pre-cum and then it went down again. We need to plug anything before we get out of here today?
GPS is airing.
Hold on. Let this old cowboy come in and tell us. GPS is airing.
GPS Ireland airing 3 p.m. this Saturday on Deep Tracks Channel 27. And that's and Gail Meets Girls
Oh, thanks, Chris.
is on interrobang.com and iTunes.
With what?
I forgot.
You forgot. Really, Chris? You son of a bitch. I thought you did something sweet with Morgan Murphy.
Morgan Murphy.
It's a very exciting episode.
I love that episode.
Me too.
I love Morgan. I think she's great.
She's very cool.
Is there a new Gail Meets Girls on Monday?
There is a new Gail Meets Girls on
Jeez.
Monday.
Jeez Louise. Why don't you just keep that water unfucking capped, and then you won't have to go through as much pain as you do.
I don't trust myself with uncapped water around me.
What?
I'm in front of this board and all these
Philly?
fucking monitors.
See, you don't have the hole like we do.
No.
We have it's designed for spills.
I'm all fucking bound up over here.
Ew.
More ways than one, Chris. More ways than one.
Only you knew.
All right, is that it for us?
Oh, yeah, that's it for us.
Damn.
Oh.
It's what do you call it?
Allergies. Yeah.
Allergies.
I'm getting it too.
Allergies, call me. You get allergies, Vito?
Yeah, I get allergies.
I didn't used to. I do now.
Yeah, I don't think I did when I was a kid, but I definitely have been now. And like I notice that every time I go out to walk my dog, like my throat starts to close up and I'm like, oh fuck.
I got them last year. I haven't gotten them yet, but I'm sure they're coming.
You want my prediction? I don't think we're allergic to spring. I think we're allergic to whatever the fucking city is spreading around with their flowers. Some kind of chemical horse shit.
That's probably what it is.
Chemtrails.
It's chemtrails, man.
Maybe that's why you got your whiskey deck right back to that girl.
Oh.
Probably. I'm like, hey, look.
Just tell her it was the chemtrails.
There's a lot of chemtrails out here, and it's probably why I couldn't get erect.
Tell her it's turning the freaking frogs gay.
Who wants a gay frog?
You always called your penis the frog. Oh, I'm sorry, the toad.
Oh, yeah.
The toad's about to come out and play.
Right.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Getting a little toady in here.
Jeremy says, hey, Whiskey Deck.
What's up?
Why don't you ever plug High Society Radio? What are you ashamed of, us or them?
I'm ashamed of no one and nothing. High Society Radio, available on GasDigitalNetwork.com. I was also on the Real Ass Podcast with Louis J. Gomez, also on GasDigitalNetwork.com.
How did that go?
It went well.
What did you guys talk about?
A lot about prostitution. Prostitution came up a lot.
For it or get it?
For it. Yeah. Myself, Louis J. Gomez, Chris from Brooklyn, Zach and Miko. We were all there.
All prostituting? Or?
I was explaining to Louis J. Gomez that it's human trafficking. Is what he didn't realize human trafficking was happening with prostitutes, like they were being dragged from other countries. So it was informative.
Yeah, those are the things that keep me from being pro-prostitution. It's not so much what the prostitutes are doing with their own bodies. It's how they're being used.
Yeah.
Which maybe if we made it legal, those things could never happen again.
I think so. I think
you're for legal prostitution?
Absolutely, yeah.
I just...
Make it safe.
I don't know why we could live in a world where it's illegal for you to use your body for sex, but legal for you to use your body to move a piano. You know what I mean? Like, if you looked at the bad things that happen to the body through any kind of physical work.
Yeah.
That's kind of prostitution. You know what I mean? You're using your body.
Sports,
at least they're high paid. You're fucking moving. You're like, really? $8 an hour? You know the fucking tonnage I was moving around here? Because any job that I ever had that I had to do something physical like this, I'd be like, I quit this job.
Today.
Yeah. And they would go, why, Ron? I go, the heaviness of all the things. I go, if you had light things that I could just sit with instead of heavy things that I had to walk
Sit and watch this light thing.
Yeah. I go, is there a job that you sit around with people and just talk about shit and bust balls and then say what other people who actually work, who does good and who doesn't? 'Cause that's what I'd like to do. All right, guys, we got to get out of here. Enjoy, and we'll see you all again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!